Welcome back. I'm Alfred Lambremont Webre, and today we have an extraordinary panel, really extraordinary. And we're joined, and we're extremely privileged to be joined today by four. We're waiting for one, but we're starting now. Four women whistleblowers who have been targeted for making disclosures about our multi-dimensional Earth. And they are Patty Greer, Kim Carlsberg, Niara Iseley, and Laura Eisenhower, who we've spoken to, and she's been trying to join us and hasn't been able to. And so we've decided to go forward. And so welcome to you all.
Hello, Alfred. Nice to be here. Thank you so much. And Patty, thank you for the invitation. And Niara, so good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Thank you.
It's really important, Alfred and Patty, for doing this as well. I really am very, very grateful.
I just wanted to mention the kind of the irony of this, that here we are waiting for Laura to come in to this program, and coincidentally, and I asked permission if I should do this, but about an hour ago on the Secret Space Program group on Facebook, of which I'm an administrator along with 8 other people, there was a big kerfuffle because a member had been thrown off because of a discussion of inner Earth. And I went in and I discovered that over 90 members had been blocked, most without reason, one of whom was Laura Eisenhower. So I unblocked her and I put a big public announcement saying, the irony is that I'm interviewing 4 women whistleblowers who have been targeted for making disclosures about multidimensional Earth, one of whom is Laura Eisenhower. And she made disclosures about the secret space program, i.e. there was an attempt to abduct her, or bring her to Mars under false pretenses to the Mars colonies. And here you're blocking Laura Eisenhower. So I've called for a public inquiry into why so many people are being blocked on the secret space program group on Facebook. So even as we're doing this program, the issues are jumping up and down. So what you're going to be hearing on this program, I mean, each of these people these whistleblowers, have a life that is dedicated to service and dedicated to communication about our multidimensional Earth. And each of them has been subjected to tremendous campaigns of personal, financial, health, social disruption that is continual. And so you're going to be hearing a lot of stuff about that, like that. And you might go and it might make you uncomfortable. And, but it's to get this information out that the whistleblowers are being subjected to social disruption. Now, we have lost Niara Iseley, and I hope that here she comes back. So I just wanted to preface that so that you know that these are the women whistleblowers really coming to you and telling it straight as to what's going on. Patty, who is the producer of this series and who has brought the women whistleblowers forward, I'd like to ask you to start this. And Patty is a whistleblower for Crop Circle Science, working multidimensionally with Crop Circle scientists, Dr. William Levengood in the afterlife dimensions and Penny Kelly in R3D. And she has been targeted tremendously physically through all sorts of injuries, including eye injuries, I've just found out, which seems to be making its way in 2016. A number of us in the truth community have been either nearly blinded or partially blinded in both eyes or one of our eyes in 2016. That hurts our ability to communicate. And Patty has been, look at those awards. Those are awards for outstanding films. I mean, you know, remember the Oscars. I mean, you know, any film producer would be like, I mean, I'm in awe of that. And she's been targeted with massive online copyright infringement by major companies, you know, who are selling her films worldwide under other names, advertising her stuff and not giving her any money. It's just like complete, total copyright infringement, theft of intellectual property, and suppression of spirit and of talent. So with that kind of frame, I'm going to turn it over to you, Penny, for your segment so that you can really bring people into what happens to a woman whistleblower when she goes public with a life of creation and whistleblowing. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the appropriate introduction. And I think that people really underestimate, like you said, what women are going through because nobody's listening. And I think that what we're dealing with, Kim and I and Niara are dealing with different entities of darkness. Theirs have been a lot of military, human bad behavior. Mine haven't had physical harm that I know of. I did see a weapon pointed at me when I was on stage last year and I left the stage. But, you know, we are at a time where the fear of honesty is the biggest thing going right now for media, for government, for politics, because everything is coming to the surface to be healed. So I did not train to be a filmmaker, and I certainly was never interested in UFOs. My experience started because I used to trust doctors and dentists in America, and I leaned back in the chair of a dentist to get old mercury fillings taken out, and we had agreed in writing that I would have white porcelain fillings put in, but he was not a well person, is all I can imagine, and I woke up with a mouthful of new mercury fillings. Lost the use of my hands within 6 months, and I have spent 13 years in gloves and Band-Aids because I trusted a dentist in America. They are still allowed to do this, and not one lawyer would take these because this is such a commitment to harm Americans with mercury. And when I look at mascara, mercury, newspaper ink, mercury. So you read a newspaper and you look at your hands and they're covered in black. Do you go wash the mercury off? Maybe not. So here we are, like we're fighting the vaccines, the obvious one where they're basically holding a gun with a needle and shooting a bunch of poison into people and their pets. And now it's finally going public that they're over-poisoning pets, and the veterinary suicide rate has really exploded because they know they're killing people's pets. Pets need one vaccine their whole life, and a 100-pound dog should be different than an 8-pound poodle. But it's not happening, and now they're forcing vaccines, trying to, on all babies and all humans. I just dealt with mercury poisoning, so for me, I'm not guessing. The crop circle science, I didn't know how great it was what I was dealing with. All I knew was the first movie I made, I had telepathic communication that helped me to find a band of communication between two plasma balls of light. I didn't know what they were until movie 8. So Crop Circle Diaries, my 8th and maybe final film because of this sickening hacking. Movie number 8 told the entire story about what's happening in crop circles. And it was only because from the other side, William Levengood just gave up. The suppression was too horrific for him to keep going. So he left this world and literally from the other side brought me and Penny together. And it begins Crop Circle Diaries, and all these things I've dealt with seemed so unbelievable. But the hacking began early on, and I wasn't seeing it as such a pattern. But what I realized is that not only have I been the most hacked UFO filmmaker in history, which I have hundreds of screenshots of physical evidence. They're intentionally sloppy. They're intentionally pulling off federal offenses so that we know there's no law that can make them behave. So I know I'm dealing with just one of the little fingers of the octopus of the cabal, but it's the finger that's destroying conscious media. And because I am someone who listens and really takes care of my community, I can smell fish a mile away. And all three of my distributors, no coincidence that I trusted and hired, did nothing but steal from me. And it's still happening today and tomorrow. And when I say steal, I just mean that I made a commitment with them where they told me what they were going to do and they didn't mean a thing. Their total intention was to hide my work because in the first movie, they realized I was really dealing with ETs. I found the communication in Oliver's castle where the two balls of light lay a crop circle down in seconds. The world still believes somebody very famous who was paid well to tell us it's fake, go back to sleep. People still believe that story. And as long as they keep hiding Patty Greer films, the story won't get out. And I'm just going to get to the punchline of what is the story. The seeds inside crop circles are growing 30 to 400% more food and biofuel with up to 75% more nutrition per plant. Seeds hit by crop circle frequencies, which is spinning plasma balls of what looks to us like light, but they're counter-rotating. They're made up of multiple frequencies, sometimes ET, not always the Earth, sometimes human consciousness, not always, but they're always coming out of the Earth in counter-rotating vortices of spinning plasma. That's how crop circles are being made, and they're not really fake. But the people that are still being pushed out there a little bit, you hardly see them anymore. The two main crop circle, I'm going to say, Kardashian look over there people are finally slipping away. But even a few years ago, I saw him get the Lifetime Achievement Award, and I'm having a hard go here in the field because I don't lie. I don't lie. I will not sign a gag order for the distributors I tried to pay off last year to go the heck away and stop hacking me. Those were the words. And in response, they offered me a gag order and the fact that they can keep electronic monitoring of me because of my defamatory statements. All I tell is the truth. And that's what this show is about. We are 4 women. I did see Laura pop on briefly. So Laura is somehow here.
Yes, yes. I just like to say, in fact, Laura raised her hand, and we'd just like to welcome Laura.
Hi.
Welcome. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Gosh, it's great to be here. It's been a little bit difficult to, get everybody's messages, but I just got the link, and I'm just jumping in here. So, I'm open to answer any questions, and I love hearing what everybody has to share, and I'm just honored and thrilled to have made it.
Great. Well, thank you. What we are, Laura, now is we're just going on an initial round of each member of the panel doing an introduction of themselves, and that can go for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then for about the second half of the 2-hour panel, I thought, and subject to feedback from you, that we could have a discussion of these issues and see what emerges from the panel. Does that sound like a good way to proceed?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you, Patty. Now, I have, yeah. Sorry. This is the second of the 4 women whistleblowers of Patty, Greer, Kim Carlsberg, Niara Iseley, and Laura Eisenhower, of course, is Kim Carlsberg. And Kim is an author and ET abductee. And she has been writing and speaking about, is it okay if I kind of read just a summary to set that tone? Would that be okay? And then you just take it from there. Is that okay, Kim?
Absolutely, Alfred.
Yeah.
Take it away.
About, quote, the spectacular beauty of other planets, traveling through time and dimensions in marveling flying machines, tiny discs and motherships the size of cities, teleportation, telepathy, Reiki, and hybrid children. As a result, Kim, quote, has also been assaulted by military kidnappings and relentless harassment by black ops. Since Kim started speaking out about her encounters in 1988. Kim has been dragged to secret bases, interrogated and tortured while witnessing the deception amongst various ET factions and military weasels. Phone taps, constant surveillance, and attempts on her life are her norm, as is a systematic blocking of her personal finances and professional opportunities as a result of Kim's disclosure activities. Okay, so that's just to give a broad outline. Kim, over to you.
Wow, that's a broad outline for sure. There's so much information to cover. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. So I guess I'll just, off the cuff, when Patty called and said, do you want to participate in this panel with Laura and Niara and herself and you, I was so excited. I thought this is going to be the girls' night out. Finally, the girls get together and they get to complain. And I said, okay, this is going to be my chance to whine after 25 years of telling my story. You know, you have to put certain things in certain corners and not address them. And the kind of abuse that we go through, women whistleblowers, is as bad as anything on this planet can get, I'm sure. So, feedback? Alfred, do you do the feedback? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Are you there now?
Where's Laura?
Yeah,
sorry.
maybe I'll put Niara on mute.
I don't see Laura. Does anybody see her?
Yeah, she's on. She's muted.
Okay, shall I
Sorry,
continue?
Kim, go ahead.
Okay. So, you know, I've told my story a million times and anyone can hear it anywhere on YouTube and all the different interviews I've done. So I don't really want to go into my story too deeply at this point that I've told over and over again, but I would like to enter into the complications that do not get to be addressed in the kind of presentations that all of us girls do. You know, we want to be politically correct, we want to be truthful, but we don't want to scare people away. So we kind of leave, you know, the scary stuff, the really scary stuff to the side. And just to give people a brief overview, I mean, you did, but one of the first things that happened to me back in 1995 when I published my first book, my autobiography of 8 years of continuous alien abduction by ETs and the military. The day it was published, I had the opportunity to have the movie made with TriStar, and George Lucas approached me as well. I knew the producer at TriStar Pictures, so I went with him. He was a dear friend. And I said, you know, let's do this. We went into production. For anybody who doesn't know my history, I was the first woman in the Cameramen's Union in Hollywood. I worked my way through 8 years of college to get there, and I broke through that glass ceiling. So I was very familiar with Hollywood, and my friend at TriStar Tom Tannenbaum said, let's do this. We went into production. About 3 months into production, one day I called, and we were communicating almost every day. We were into, casting and script and, quite a ways into the production, and there was no answer on the phone. And that continued on and on for a few days, and I got scared, and I jumped in my car. I lived in Malibu, and the production facility was in Santa Monica, about 40 minutes away. When I got to the production facility, there was no one there. It was gone. It was basically gone. So I was able to track down my dear friend, Tom Tannenbaum, a few weeks later, and he turned around and looked at me. I found him at, I believe at TriStar, and he acted like he didn't know me. It was absolutely astonishing. And I said, what's going on with the production? And he said, Paramount's doing a similar story, so we cut it off. And I said, and you didn't call me, you didn't tell me, you didn't, nothing. And both of his older children are involved in the production as well. So at that point, I realized what was happening. And it scared me so bad, I never tried to get my book made into a movie again. So that was at the time that I dropped out for 15 years because it frightened me so much. But after 15 years, I got my courage back, and I came back because I wanted to finish a book that I had started 15 years previous, which is right behind me over here in the corner, The Art of Close Encounters. And it's a beautiful art book of 150 individual stories of close encounters, and it's a magnificent book. I couldn't go to my grave without finishing it. So I came back. I got sucked right back in. I started doing interviews and conferences. And along the way, amongst all the other things that have happened, continuously my phones are tapped. Most of my friends are contactees. So we know that the phones are tapped. We talk to the people. They talk back. The guys talk back to us. It's just such a joke. So I do remember, so the train of thought I'm trying to follow is the things that we girls have to go through. I was the first woman to photograph the alien implant removal Roger Lear did back in the 80s. It was a very, very secret event. I was living in Channel Islands, California, and he was in Camarillo, and I got a message through MUFON that my services as a photographer were needed at an event. So they said, we can't give you the information over the phone, you know why. After a course of many events, the information got to me where I was supposed to be and but not what I was supposed to do. I had no idea what it was about. Just show up with your cameras. That afternoon, I was getting in the shower. A helicopter came over my house, almost landing on my little beach house. The house was rattling. I had just been at the beach. I got in the shower. I grabbed my bathing suit. I put it back on, went out my backyard, and here's a black helicopter with and I'm a photographer, so I know where a lens is pointed. With this, the door's open, a tripod, and a long lens pointed at my face. And I said, no, this can't be possible. So I ran around to the front of the house to see if this helicopter was going to follow me. And, by George, it did. And so at that point, I said, no, this isn't possible. So I decided to run down to the beach, which is about 3 houses down. And my friend was washing his van in the middle of the street. So I'm running down the street. He looks at me. I hide behind his van. The helicopter goes around us, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm sorry. And I said, okay, this is going to be the final test. I ran down to the ocean, jumped in the water. The helicopter went out over the ocean, right back over me and back over my house. And I said, okay, you guys, you don't scare me. I have been abducted by aliens. Here it goes. So I ran home, put my clothes on, got in my truck, and I'm driving out of Channel Islands. And this helicopter follows me, comes over the front of my truck, goes down the road in front of me, turns back around, and goes shoo, right over my truck. I thought, okay, I'm going. I get there. I get to this location, and it was Daryl Sims and Roger Lear, and it was 2 people from Texas who were having their alien implants removed for the first time. So that's how, this is my life. When you dedicate your life to the truth, it's the yin and yang. It's all there. They don't want this information out, and back then they really didn't want it out. But it's getting more difficult, with the internet and the UFO community growing at the rate it's growing. So let's see, I made a couple notes here. I think that the most, okay, so they squashed my movie the first time. And 3 months ago, I get a call that a producer at Universal is interested in doing my movie. And I'm thinking 25 years later, they're not going to try to kill me over my movie anymore. This information is just everywhere. So I'm 3 months. These guys are so excited about doing my movie. You don't even know this, Patty. These guys are so interested in doing my movie. And I'm thinking, okay, well, all right, we'll do it now. It'll be fine. Every week, oh, we're getting your deal together. We're real excited. We're getting your deal together. Finally, after 3 months, I said, listen, you guys, I have to know because I've got other offers. And, you need to tell me if you're going to do this or not. And they said, yeah, we're putting the final touches on your deal tonight. This was just a few weeks ago. And the next day, I get a call that they've decided to not do the movie. No explanation why, that they are going to do something else. So I had to laugh. Here, it's still 25 years later, they're still doing the same thing. This is a great story. I had a UFO tour company in Sedona for the last 4 years, four previous years. I'm now in the Midwest to be close to my elderly mother, but those were 4 fascinating years. I took people out into the National Forest and we had night vision and we saw UFOs and we photographed orbs and plasma beams and just fantastic stuff in the portals in Sedona. So I have this storefront, this beautiful storefront, and I get a call one afternoon from Tonya Maidenford. I think all you guys know her, good friend, and she's in town and she wants to have dinner. And so many synchronicities happened that day. And she said, I happened to be just by chance, staying at the hotel across from your UFO store. She goes, I walked out in the patio and I saw your store. So I thought, we have to have dinner. And I said, sure, no problem, let's have dinner. So we decided to have dinner in a restaurant across the street, which changed my typical schedule. Typically, I would close my store, around 6 o'clock and I would go home. Well, I decided I'm going to keep my store open a little bit later and I will go have dinner with Tonya. So we're sitting there in a little bay window and we're having a conversation. Let's see, do I have to? No, the chronology is a little strange here, but we're having dinner and I'm looking at Tonya and all of a sudden I get a ba-boom in the back of my skull. Now we're in a public restaurant. There is no sign of any, weapons or anything going on. All I could do, I was choking and I was trying to tell Tonya, I said, stop talking. Something's happened to me. And she said, what is it? And I said, I don't know. And I sat there for about a half an hour drinking water, trying to get myself together, wondering whether, I should go to the hospital. I knew it was an external explosion. I knew this was not a stroke. This was not anything internal. It was like I had been hit on the back of the head with worse than a baseball bat, with some kind of weaponry. So I went home that night and I laid in bed and I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to try to sleep this off and get up and go on about my life like I do every day after every assault of every kind. I get to my storefront and there's a woman who has an insurance company upstairs and we're very good friends. And she is standing in the parking lot waiting for me. And I pull in the car, pull the car in and I get out and she comes running up to me and she puts her arms around me and says, I'm so glad you're alive. I said, what are you talking about? She said, I'm so glad you're alive. She goes, my college-age daughter was having dinner in a restaurant in Sedona, and it's a place where there are like 4 or 5 restaurants together, and then there's an open air seating area, so you can get your food and everybody can come together in this outdoor seating area. She said, a man was standing addressing 8 people at a table about what a shame it was that Kim Carlsberg had been in a horrible accident, that she was in a coma, and she wasn't expected to make it through the night. Now, my friend's daughter knew how close we were, and she walked up to the man and said, are you talking about Kim Carlsberg, the UFO lady with the UFO store? And he said, yes, the same one. And she said, well, how do you know this and why? Well, he went on to explain a lot of stuff. The daughter ran over to her mother's house that night, said, Kim's in the hospital. We don't know which one. She's not expected to make it through the night. At the same time, another good friend of mine who lives in Sedona got a phone call at about the same time that I was hit in the head that Kim Carlsberg had a terrible accident. She's in the hospital, not expected to make it through the night. And if you want to talk to her before she dies, you need to get to her now. So all of this conversation is going all over Sedona while I'm just, doing my little UFO business. And I get there the next day, and when this woman told me that this information came to her, my other best friend was given this information. And so I finally called a very good friend of mine who was in the military, who was I believe he was Special Forces, and he's very into the UFO stuff, and he knows about all this stuff. And I said, what do you think happened? And he goes, I'll tell you exactly what happened. He goes, they were going to hit you that night. He goes, and the way they do it is they hit you when you're in an automobile driving home. You have a car accident, and it looks like you had a car accident when you were actually hit with an energy beam weapon. And because you weren't where they thought you were going to be, it didn't go down the way they expected. Otherwise, everybody would have believed that, yes, you had a terrible car accident, you were in a coma, and you died. So, want another story?
Yeah. Kim, what was the date of that again?
I do not have the date on me.
Yeah, I mean the, month sort of, or year.
I don't even know. This was about 2.5. I've been here a year. It was probably 3 years ago.
Okay.
I mean, I can get you that information because
I just want to know generally. Okay, thank you. That is absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking.
I got the call also that you had gotten hurt. So my question as a documentarian was, why didn't they film the guy that was announcing that I'm filming people now. Anybody says a lie, oh really? Click. I think we need to start, all of us, really? Click.
Yeah.
Document everything.
I just want to add a little bit to that story, which really puts it off on what this is really all about.
Okay.
A couple weeks later, now since I moved to Sedona, I've been having contact with my grown hybrid children. A couple weeks later, I was contacted by my oldest son, hybrid son. His name is Qual. And he said, Mom, do you know why you're not dead? And I said, no, why, Qual? Why am I not dead? He said, you should have been dead that night in the restaurant. He said, but I was monitoring what was going on. And he goes, and when I saw what was going down, he goes, I moved in and I took half the hit. So That's what this is really all about. It's them, not this little, Peyton place down here on Earth with all these, factions of people fighting against each other. It's about these beautiful, wonderful, amazing extraterrestrial beings and the hybrid children and the expansion of humanity and, the saving of the planet and using, all the technology for, human expression and evolution instead of, supremacy and war. It's just such a big Peyton place, but we can't forget why we put up with this stuff. And why we put up with this stuff is because this is an amazing planet. It is I call it, this multi-dimensional, and I heard you, Alfred, the other day saying this omni-universe as opposed to a multi-dimensional universe, because we really don't have the words to express what it all is just, it's mind-boggling and fantastic. And, I'm a creative person, and, when I think about the creator putting all this together and sustaining it and the beauty of it, it just needs to be protected, and we just need to grow up. We just need to grow up. So
now I know that your segment is not through, but Laura has her hand up. Laura?
Hi, Laura.
You're good.
Hi. Hey.
Yeah. Did you want to say something?
Well, I mean, I hope it's okay to just jump in and share.
Yeah, sure.
the weaponry is really intense. I live like pretty much in isolation. All my relationships are targeted. It was even told to me through the author Judith Moore that an ex-partner, I won't mention any names, was being mind controlled to assassinate me. And so I had to do a ceremony and clearing on that. But the tension and intensity is, you know, constant. I was pre-targeted before birth. So it's all I really know is trying to manage the weaponry. But it wasn't, you know, until I went to a clairvoyant institute that I had the validation that I wasn't crazy, you know, and they were like surprised by what they saw. They never really saw a case like mine, and they knew that Eisenhower was there. I didn't carry the name at the time. They were just like, oh, Eisenhower is here. And that's when I started taking classes to learn tools and to be able to manage, you know, the psychic abilities and gifts we all have. I've always known that I was going to help in this window period that we're in, this activation cycle. Yeah, I've just had my car totaled. No real injuries, but then I got a mild concussion on my kitchen floor, and then you know, it's and I'm trying to recover, and I don't have any help or assistance. And you know, when I do pull in assistance, you know, they're targeted to target me, and I'm devastated. I don't, you know. It's too hard, and I'm trying to raise my kids. So
yeah, it really seems like Laura's very, very targeted at a multidimensional level. I mean, going back to in the interlife to pre-birth. Does anyone want to comment on that? We'll go back, Kim, but does anybody want to comment on that, Patty or someone?
I just want to say, Laura, your sisters are wrapped around you. And the reason that I feel safe is because we're real contactees. You know, people that don't really have contact that make it up are going to have to pay karmically for that. But Laura is here because she is protected, and she is really one of the strongest women, but they're nailing her on a physical level like they're nailing me on a financial level. I think Laura and I are taking the hit now, whereas Kim and Niara were taking it years ago. More than now.
I'm still taking it now.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, my heart goes out to you, and I just want you to know your sisters are with you.
We love you, Laura. We're with you. Hang in there. We've made it this far.
I know.
So this is Niara. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Because when we had connected before, my computer just completely shut off in the middle of what we were doing, and I had to restart it. And then I went to the meeting on my phone for a brief time, but I'm back on the computer now. So
yeah, no, we can hear you. Your image is frozen, but the audio's fine, so okay. We can hear you. Yeah,
well, like I said, my computer isn't in the greatest shape, so that's probably why my image is frozen. I'm seeing just a black image here, but you want me to go ahead and?
Well, I just want to go back to Kim, and then we'll go to you, Niara, and then we'll come back to Laura, and then we'll open up the floor to just really to flow to see where it goes. Kim, I mean, that is now, I have heard, and I have heard experts talk about it, experts on underground bases, that there are underground bases, CIA and perhaps other bases in that area. Is that the case? Have you heard about that? You know that there is an underground CIA base in the Sedona area. Is that the case, or is that common knowledge there?
If the CIA was going to be somewhere, it would be Sedona, I would imagine.
Yeah.
With all the with all the UFO and paranormal activity, it's, you know, one of the prime spots for, you know, contactees and contacts. So, and of course, we always hear that there are underground bases there. But, you know, I did some study. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I was doing some research on underground bases. And you know that we have at least an average of 3 underground bases that are known and mapped, 3 in every state in the United States. So if we have 3 that are known and mapped, you can imagine what's really going on down there. So I believe that we're just sitting on nothing but a large underground base. And I've been to them, and you know them, I mean, very, very specifically. And in my contacts, I've been on, you know, dozens and dozens of ships, and I've been taken to military bases. And there have been ETs and military working hand in hand in both instances. But at the same time, you know a ship from an underground base. The underground bases I've been to look like, you know, I was born in 1955. So when in my grade school, elementary schools, they have, you know, the construction in a 50s or 60s public facility. You just know what it looks like. And these underground bases, the places I was taken, these are old underground bases, and they have that same kind of, you know, cheap, you know, construction, American construction. You get inside of a craft and it's just sleek white curved walls. So yeah, I've been taken to many of each, and I just, they're out there everywhere.
Right. So, but I mean, it seems like there's a general thread that they shut down your picture to the extent of taking away the set, and then when they revived it, there was an attempt to revive it 25 years ago, and they shut it down. And then right in the middle, there was a fairly sophisticated attempt in Sedona. I mean, that's very sophisticated, where you have a disinformation operative come out and spread a rumor that you'd been in an automobile accident as kind of a foreshadowing right before you're going to drive home, and they hit you with a directed energy weapon on, you know, that's the type of thing that you would do near an underground CIA base where you're deploying all of this. So these are very negative influences. So you've been targeted over the course of 30 years, at least, if not before.
Right. And, you know, to my folly, imagining that, you know, it's been so many years that they're not going to be interested in me anymore. And so when I resurfaced and I came back and I finished my book, The Art of Close Encounters, in when did I finish that? 2010, I believe. But that was not harmful. But when I moved to Sedona and I started doing my UFO tours and my paranormal tours, and I had a Main Street storefront UFO vortex, that was stepping on the toes a little more than they wanted me to step on when I came back. So, you know, that's what happens. And I can't stop being who I am. This is what drives me. I wish it didn't. Life would be a lot easier. But, you know, I used to tell friends when I would, my boyfriend and I created this television series, Baywatch, way back in the 80s. And I would go to these parties in Hollywood and Bel Air. And these, you know, the women the conversations went like this. I just love this. So who are you wearing tonight? Right? It's all, and they're made up and their hair is done and they're tucked and, you know, the plastic surgery and the beautiful clothes and cars and homes. And I said, who am I wearing? And I'm looking up to the sky, and I said, and I have hybrid children and a spacecraft over this building. What am I doing here? I just couldn't, you know, you just can't relate to the rest of the world once you know what we know. You just don't fit in. And so, you know, it's like water seeks its own level. Here I am with all you amazing, you know, conscious people. And that's the yin and yang of it. You know, they try to kill me. They just try to destroy my life. And yet I live with these, you know, spectacular beings in my life. You know, my 5,000 Facebook friends are probably all contactees. And when I go places, you know, you find the family and the real people with, you know, real goals, meaningful lives, and powerful and brave people. And I'm just so blessed to be in this community, even though I might not live long.
Well, let's affirm that
Yeah.
that it's a positive future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know that I have people looking out for me from many dimensions of reality. So I'm not scared. I've made it this far. Like Laura, like all of us, we'll continue.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So yeah, go. Right. And so we'll go to Niara now, and Niara Iseley. Niara, we don't have a picture for you, but do you want to say something just to make sure that we have audio?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, okay. We can, but we don't have video.
Yeah, my computer is really a mess. And, you know, I wish that I was able to do this on my tablet.
Okay.
Let me try to start the video again and see what happens.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
There's one. Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'll just read a summary here of Niara Iseley, author and U.S. Air Force veteran with ET and MyLab experiences, has been working to expose the Matrix as a product of an Illuminati con job on mass humanity from time immemorial. It's quite simple. If our thoughts create the reality we see around us, then by programming mass humanity's thoughts and consciousness, especially manipulating our emotions, which are the electrical current that fuels the creation and maintenance of the Matrix, they have trapped us within our own unified consciousness matrix with programmed belief systems that keep the Illuminati elites in charge of this world and us subject to them. End of quote. This is Niara speaking. As a result, Niara has been here. I'll turn it over to you because it's really quite personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So please, you know, speak your truth.
Okay. Well, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to read a statement of something that I posted on Facebook recently, because a lot of people have been saying that since the election, I've been harsher and kind of meaner. And usually I'm known for being very compassionate and very loving. And, but I've come under attack a lot for the past 3 years. So I published my book in 2013 on my birthday. And within a few months, my life just started going straight to hell. And I'm going to go ahead and read this statement because this is why I feel like I'm being targeted. So most people, this is from the Facebook post I did, most people know me as a very compassionate person who has tried not to ruffle feathers or start arguments or fights. Since the election, at least one person has observed that I seem harsher somehow. I have not changed who I am, but this is why I may seem harsher and more intolerant. For a very long time, I have known and have been quietly collecting data on what might, at this 11th hour for humanity on planet Earth, environmentally, politically, socially, culturally, and spiritually, help those of us who truly care about each other, all life on this world, to stop abuses of power against individuals, all the way up to abuses of smaller nations and differing groups. And if you've read my book, there's a great deal in there to educate people about this consciousness-based solution. I'm quite sure that this is a central core issue of why I've been targeted since my book came out, to make sure that I'm never able to bring this idea or its implementation to full flower. As I said in my book, the only real war going on this planet is a war on consciousness. All the fear porn swirling around us is to keep our consciousness shut down, all the way down to the level of our DNA. What I am discovering is we may indeed have a chance to turn things around, but it will never happen if we are so deeply divided by politics and other ideologies and behaviors. We absolutely must find ways to unite ourselves and the energies we're made of to even attempt a spiritual coup that could create a new earth. This is why I've seemed so harsh and possibly intolerant myself. It is far less harshness or intolerance as it is sadness. and even anxiety and concern about forces at work in this world that are doing their level best to make sure we never come together and discover the vast power of our united consciousness. This is because our united collective unconscious has been farmed and manipulated by powerful elites down through the ages to create a version of reality that gives them power over us and keeps us ignorant of who we really are and what we could do if we ever unify. So sadly, I am now having to stop this polarizing divisiveness on my Facebook wall at least. I'm going to kind of leave it there, but I'll just add this part. The power to change the world is in our hands, and it always has been. It doesn't depend on Trump or Clinton or Bernie Sanders or any other self-proclaimed leader. The elites desperately do not want us ever to figure this out and destroy their huge, eons-long con on humanity and take over how things unfold on this planet. I'm looking for those who can push themselves to think at least a light year or two out of the program boxes that have been built around our minds to contain us and keep us under control. And I'll leave that for now. And I'm just going to list a few of the things that I think, years ago I ran into a video by Greg Braden where he showed on the screen how the data about how our DNA is affected by our emotions. So when our emotions are manipulated by the powers that be, then they control how we act and what we think and so on and so forth. If our thoughts make the world, then those that control how we think, they shape the world. It's like in the Matrix movie, we were batteries. Our bodies were being used as batteries to fuel this technological matrix that we were hooked into. But in reality, in our world, it's not our bodies that are hooked into the matrix, it is our consciousness that is hooked into the matrix and has been for a very long time because of the farming or managing of our consciousness down through the ages. From kings and queens and elites and very powerful ETs that seemed like gods and didn't mind being called gods. These beings have been manipulating us all this time to build the version of reality we see around us. And until we figure that out and start to take our power back and start to do something else, it's going to continue to be this way. And I've got a lot of material that I'm
Hello? Looks like we have a glitch. Niara? Hello? We seem to have momentarily lost Niara. So I think that we'll let Niara refresh herself and move on to Laura.
Hey.
Laura, hi. I'm just going to briefly introduce you, Laura, and for those who may not have background on you, and then invite you to add more in this light. Perhaps you want to take off your.
I'm back.
Okay, good. Oh well, we're back with Niara. Okay,
Sorry.
Laura, I will.
It's been one problem after another today.
Sorry?
They really don't want this message out there. I have had one problem after another today.
Okay, good. Laura.
I want to have my video on because I'm in my car and I've got my sweatshirt on and I've been.
Sure. Now, Niara's came back on. So if you could just hold on for just a couple of minutes, Laura, we'll allow Niara to finish up her segment, and then we'll come back to you.
Okay. Anyway,
yeah, Niara, please go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope
go ahead.
you got a little bit of the gist of what I was saying before my computer shut off again. right in the middle of and it never does this. It never shuts off like this. You know, twice today now it's shut off. First, my internet went down this morning. Okay, so that's one reason that I might have not been able to join this call. My computer is shut off twice. My electronic devices are, instead of charging when I plug them in today, they're discharging. So this is really, just today I'm being targeted, you know?
Now, why do you think, what is the message that they're trying to suppress? That whoever's doing this, whatever's at the end of that black box,
yeah,
what is the essential message that you think they're trying to suppress by doing that?
Come together in common cause and common energy and common intention, and in a mass way. You know, it's not about, you know, one group of like 100 people in one country doing a meditation. You know, we all know that meditators lowered the crime rate in Washington, D.C. by their focused meditation efforts. And there have been other intention experiments and meditative experiments on this too, to lower crime in a certain way. We know that it works. The scientific quantifiable data is there showing that consciousness does have an effect on reality. And if you watch the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know? Then we learn very, very strongly that consciousness affects our reality. This is the message they don't want us to get out. It's okay if it gets out as long as we never come together and start cooperating with each other. Look at the polarization and the divisiveness that's going on right now in the world. You know, it's shattering our ability to come together in common cause. A common cause of consciousness and action. And this is the thing they don't want us to know. And the ways that I've been targeted is, you know, in 2013, on my birthday, I published my book. Within a few months, my boyfriend turned from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and he was cheating on me, and I had to throw him out of of my life. And then I was on a trip, and I kept getting, my cell phone would get knocked off, the signal would get knocked off, even in the middle of an urban area where there should have been no problem with signal. And it would happen at exactly the moment when I needed the GPS the most to execute a turn or to find my way to where I was going. And it happened time after time after time. I was on a 3-week trip, and finally, after about 10 days, I cut the trip short and came back home because I felt like my life was in danger. Because as soon as my GPS on my phone would cut off, my truck would start to swerve all on its own. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? What the heck is going on? And the meanwhile, you know, I'm having the breakup with the boyfriend, and that was just devastating because I thought this was the guy I'm going to be spending the rest of my life with. And so I had to keep up with my speaking schedule and, you know, the work that I was doing for about 3 months after the breakup. And I was starving to death because my stomach was in such knots from the breakup, I couldn't eat. And this is a red flag for me. His father was career Navy. So they had access to that guy as a child and maybe later. So his dad was career Navy. To me, that was a big red flag. And so then there was that. Finally, after 3 months, I finally completed all my speaking engagements and the things I had to do, and I just collapsed. And then things really started to get horrible. I had strange personal attacks from the landlady in the Durango apartment. She was harassing me. My downstairs neighbor was harassing me with noise and door slamming that was just off the charts. And I was miserable. I was trying to buy a home, and it should have happened. I had the income. I had everything lined up, but it didn't happen. And I waited 2 years in that apartment with all my stuff in boxes waiting to move because a lot of people said, oh, just pack all your stuff. It'll get the energy for the move going. Well, I ended up living in a maze of boxes of my possessions for 2 years while I was waiting for this house deal to go through. Finally, I waited on this one particular house deal to go through, and there was one problem after another that kept coming up. And finally, we cleared all the problems. And then 3 weeks from closing on that house, Suddenly, the loan company changed its rules about loaning to people with a certain financial profile. And that just killed the whole deal. After waiting for it in a hellish situation for a year, for 2 years, I couldn't buy the house. And I had to come over here and move into this apartment in Pagosa. And the other things that were happening at the Durango apartment, besides the landlady harassing me and the downstairs neighbor, was I ended up, because I was in such bad shape, I really needed somebody for support. So I got a dog after I learned that I could train my own service dog. So I got this dog, and the landlady started attacking me about the dog, and I kept trying to tell her. I sent her paperwork, which she refused to even sign for to pick up at the post office. And she just kept attacking me, and she said, no, you can't have a dog here, and it's not fair to my other renters that you don't have to pay deposits. And I said, well, that's because this is a service dog. That's why I don't have to pay deposits, and my right to have a service dog is protected by federal law. So she just kept harassing me until finally other people had to go and tell her that she was flirting with a lawsuit if she didn't leave me alone, because I had a perfect right to have my dog. So it was one thing other. Then there was another woman that came and confronted me just out of the blue while I was out walking my dog around the apartment complex. And she started yelling at me, and I didn't know who she was from Eve. And then she said something to me that nobody who didn't know me could not have known. She said something, this was when I was waiting for the house to get to closing, and she looked at me and she said in a very vengeful manner, she says, you'll never get that house now. You'll never get that house now. And I'm thinking, who the hell is this woman that she even knows this? This is crazy. This is just insane. You know, and it was very upsetting. And all this stuff, you know, I have PTSD from my experiences in the military, you know, rape and getting taken to the moon. And anyway, so my PTSD was getting triggered by all this stuff all this 2 years too. And I fell into a really deep apathy that was like death just before moving to Pagosa. And I've spent all these months since being moved in Pagosa trying to get my life back, trying to give up my wish to die, because things were so bad in the Durango apartment that I just went into this deep apathy, which is like walking death. And the only thing that kept me on the earth was my dog, you know, knowing that I had to love and care for my dog. And, but it was a really horrible 2 years where incidents were, I told you some of the incidents, but there were incidents happening constantly, you know, at a rate of 1 to 3 a week for 2 years that were constantly triggering my PTSD and putting me in just this hellish state of emotions that's like living in a cement mixer. And with PTSD, you kind of tiptoe through your life and you hope nothing comes along to trigger you and turn on that cement mixer where your emotions are just throwing you every which way. I'm just finally now coming out of that. I can feel my body turning back on. My appetite is finally coming back like it ought to be there. I mean, I was so far gone that my body was starting to shut down in the Durango place. And coming over to Pagosa has been about coming back to life. And it's taken a long time. It's taken from April to now for me to come back to life. And then I'm doing this thing with you guys today. And the first thing I wake up to this morning is my internet is down. And when I called tech support to try to get it back up again, they said it looked like somebody came in and tried to reconfigure your modem. So that's hacking. I'm sorry, that's hacking. Okay, and then the other things that have happened is my computer shutting down twice in the middle of this interview or in the middle of this panel. And my iPad and my phone not charging properly. So, you know, trying to stay on this call and stay connected on this call and get my part of this story added to the rest of these amazing women has been a real challenge today. And I really feel that's because they don't want this consciousness message getting out. It will crash everything they're trying to do. And the other thing it'll do is it'll send a message to the benevolent and spiritual spiritually evolved ETs around this planet, that we are ready for contact. Because if we can awaken our consciousness and come together enough in common cause, then we are going to send a powerful message out to them there that we are ready for contact. So this is really the kernel of what I'm trying to get out. And there's so much more to it that I'm going to be putting out in my videos and my audios, that I just really hope that it will make a difference. If it doesn't make a difference, okay. But to not do it, to not put it out there and give it a chance to make a difference is not acceptable. I will do it. Somehow I will do it. I will get it out there.
Niara, you have
Yes.
the opportunity right now to talk to so many people. And I don't know about your experience on the moon, but I know that I've known you since my second movie. I interviewed you 9 years ago, and you are stronger than ever. But would you be willing to tell the world right now that's listening why they want to hide you? What do you know?
What do I know? Well, I know that we have bases on the moon. I know that there is stuff going on Mars, not that I've been there that I know of yet. But one of my Lyran family members took me flying over the Mars in the astral body, and I could see that the Cydonia area where the pyramids in the face are now being excavated as an archaeological dig. That's one of the things that I saw. I know that we do not need fossil fuels anymore to run our planet. And the thing of it is, you know, they probably thought, you know, standardized testing, we know from Kathy O'Brien and Mark Phillips, is about testing children to see where they might fit in to the grand scheme of the controllers, you know. And when I did the standardized testing in school, I got sick of it, I got bored with it, and so I started filling in all the little pencil bubbles to make the prettiest pattern on the paper that I could make. And they probably thought, this girl is a nutcase. She's never going to amount to a thing. And then out of me comes a 530-page book that's extremely well-researched and extremely articulate. And suddenly they're going, whoa, we missed this one. We didn't have a clue. But I've been a spiritual person my entire life, from the cradle on. I can't remember a time when I wasn't spiritual, even before I knew the word spiritual. And I've always been looking for those places where science and spirituality overlap and begin to support each other. And I think that that's really, you know, the other stuff that I have to say is sensational enough, but the consciousness piece is the one that can really save us. The consciousness piece is the one that can save us. You know, there's many paths to enlightenment. One is Tantra, you know, the path of sacred sexuality. Well, we have had religion for 2,000 years making us scared to death of our sexuality, so we can't follow that path to enlightenment, or at least a few brave souls are doing it, but a lot of us aren't because we're afraid. Then the 60s came along, suddenly religion wasn't enough to scare us out of sex, so they came up with AIDS, which I think most of the people here would agree that AIDS was genetically engineered and released to cause and effect. Okay, so we weren't afraid of sex anymore because of religion, but we became afraid of it because of disease. Okay, so then you look at psychedelics, you know, mushrooms, LSD, DMT, all kinds of, you know, breath work and things like that can alter consciousness. That has been suppressed. Everywhere you look, if you really look around in the world, you will see all the places where consciousness and the expansion of consciousness has been suppressed and put down. The Salem witch trials, the Spanish Inquisition, okay, it was about going after women who are more intuitive and more naturally healers and things like that. And some of them were psychic and had, you know, healing skills and abilities, and they were burned at the stake and they were tortured. And they were, and this was to frighten people away from anything to do with consciousness or energy or anything else like that. Down through the years, if you look, you will see that at every turn, our consciousness has been assaulted, and it's been managed and farmed and controlled. And this is the message they don't want to get out there. This is the message they don't want
more than anything else, because if our collective thoughts make the world, and then managing our thoughts makes the world that they want us to have. And this has got to stop. And this has got to stop. It's just got to stop. And even that Georgia Guidestones monument, okay? It says that the world should be reduced to 500 million or some figure like that. That's probably exactly the amount of human beings they need alive, where they keep managing and farming our consciousness to keep this matrix in place, okay? They're scared to death that 7 billion plus human beings on the planet, if they ever all catch the awakening and we all come together, it's game over for them. They cannot fight against that. They're just a few. We are 7 billion strong. And if even just a fraction of that 7 billion get together with focused, conscious intent and energy to change this planet, we can do it. And I'm visualizing teams of people that want to work on the ocean and cleaning up the ocean and restoring the ocean, and teams of people that want to work on restoring the rainforests, and teams of people that want to work on the political arena and shape that into a direction that we want it to go. And I just feel my star family saying yes right now, because they know that it's the divisiveness down here that makes it difficult for them to come down and make contact. Because, well, Bashar said at one time, he said, would you want to land on a planet that's an insane asylum where all the inmates are armed? And no, you know, why would you want to do that? You know, but if we start coming together and supporting each other, despite our differences, then they are going to see that as something positive, that maybe then they could come down. And I think that when we do have contact, it's going to be more like a family reunion than it's going to be like meeting strangers. I really believe that. And, you know, I'm trying to fit so much that I've compiled into such a tiny amount of time here. And I don't want to take time away from Laura. But thank you, Patty, for inviting me to say a little more about it, because I really think it is just so incredibly important. And yeah, so I'm just going to be working on it and covering all the different things, covering indoctrination as a form of mass mind control, and trying to let people see the box they've been put into so that they can step out of it. Once they see the box that they're in, then they have the choice to step out of it. So I'm gonna kind of close with that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Anyone want to ask or make any comment on what Niara has been sharing? Okay, well.
You want me to comment?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I just want to share a lot of gratitude. I just really felt everything that she shared. It really moved me and helped ground me. It's very rare, you know, people are sharing this type of stuff. I'm not one to want to always, you know, just say, oh, I'm being attacked, or, oh, you know, I'm targeted. You know, I avoided that a lot in my life. My focus was always the inner work. And then it got real obvious. Oh my gosh, you know, there's real weaponry here. Before, you know, I even got recruited to Mars or even knew what all of it was about. You know, there were no whistleblowers that I was referring to. There was nothing. I was just like, oh, you have just, you know, there's something really wrong with you. You better figure it out. But then after a while, I was just like, this is effing ridiculous. And it still is. And now I'm like, you know, I'm hanging on the threads of life and death as I normally am. So it's okay. You know, I'm a nutritionist and herbalist. I can counteract a lot of stuff. But you know, it's really difficult because I don't have any assistance. And I'm trying to launch my kids. I don't have any extra money to dip into, no family funds. but I do have their love and understanding, and compassion, and, and their support when it makes sense. But this is like exactly the same thing. I mean, I have clients, that change their name and change the time of their session, and then insult me and tear me to shreds. And then I have to manage the money part of it while I'm, feeling like completely annihilated, on top of the weaponry, on top of the targeted relationships, on top of, trying to manage, a concussion and a cervical strain in my neck without, fully knowing. I mean, sometimes it's like I even today, like even before this call, there's a part of me that keeps, and I always had a hard time being in my body, but where I just close my eyes and I can feel myself leaving. And, I don't want to go. But, yeah, I mean, I just relate to everything she's saying. And we have to take this seriously. And this is our chance to come together. I'm sorry I'm emotional. I'm just tired. I came into this family, to help bust the, the stuff that's been kept hidden. And everything's been really difficult. My kid's dad was targeted and he died. All my relationships are targeted. So just when I really need a hug and, some support, you never know if that person's just gonna freaking try and destroy you. So, it's fine. I'm kind of used to the intensity, but the survival energy, financial, and now like health. I've been to the ER probably 12 times in the last year and a half or two. So many EMTs that I still think about for them, calming me down and helping my heart restabilized. It's just always looking at death's door. And it's not like, like, what are we doing this for? It's not like we're wanting, the ultimate sacrifice and put our lives on the line. But what else are we going to do? How are we going to stop this? And I'm willing. And I might not make it either, I don't know if today's my last day. But I refuse to raise kids in this mind control. I refuse to see this planet mistreated, and it's time to come into balance, and it's time to all step up to the plate and be transparent with your processes to the best of your degree or ability, and figure out, discernment and boundaries, and work with nutrition and, crystals and stones, and let the earth help you. Nature is coded with ascension. It's got, those energies. So the PTSD is out of control. Most of the time, I mean, a lot of times I just sit and I'm just holding on for dear life. I'm trying to assist as many people as possible too, but the cruelty and insults and lack of control over people, like expression towards me, because they let some archon or entity in, is unacceptable. I have ultimate forgiveness and unconditional love, but I refuse to be abused and mistreated. If you don't know what I do in this world, don't call me and don't seek my services, because it goes with so much more than you can imagine, because I interface with your entities and implants and everything that I'm trying to clear. So we have to work together, and we have to, really step back and look at the larger picture here. And, I just love you guys. And, the thing is, there's many, many layers to the military industrial complex. And one of the biggest things that we are dealing with is the hidden weaponry. It's the same thing with my phone. No matter how many chargers I get, it still doesn't work. No matter how much help I try and get, my phone just can't be fixed. I've got people scheduling with the exact same name and almost identical information that another client will have to just confuse me. And then I bust them, or I get like kind of exasperated and I do weird Facebook posts. I go back and
delete so people don't think I'm losing it. But it's just enough already. So, you know, I really want to assist this planet. You know, we're in a rehabilitation. We need healing centers. We need, you know, like light workers or those that are really on this path to make themselves more known and available. And to also like be given that extra sensitivity and understanding and compassion, just as we do that for each and every human that we're here to assist. So, you know, I'm feeling a little bit better now, you know, that I'm talking, but, you know, all that's beamed on us, you know, I'm trying to battle probably every disease that I know is being thrown at me. So while my body is going through detox constantly, you know, I'm also, you know, being thrown off my center. And I never know which is what. Is this like symptoms of me dying, or is this symptoms of me healing? Like, what's going on here? So, you know, I just let humor sort of clear the air. And I just know that we're getting over a huge hump. You know, when we look at the 13th gate and the energies of the mother, the asteroid Chiron is what, you know, we're facing. All the wounds of the earth, the wounds of the feminine, the wounds of the masculine, you know, the negative ego constructs that have been in control or trying to be in control. And so we have to look at ourselves in order to purify the outer elements and start to do that cleaning and purification. But we have to call out these injustices, you know, and hold those accountable, because these are crimes against humanity. And, you know, with the election and all the junk that's still on TV and the media, I just encourage people, you know, can we look to each other? I mean, haven't we learned anything yet? Where is that really going to take us at the end of the day? You know, or find a balance between how to build community and unity and health and empowerment, and start to design your future, because you have the power to do so. Don't give it over to the hands of somebody that's manipulating your emotional body and your mental body. And this is what, you know, the ultimate conspiracy is that they're trying to take over and infect our creative energy and write the script for us. And then we just nod our heads and we're afraid of it. And then we enable it. So if we want to get rid of this parasitic influence, you know, there's all sorts of things. One thing that I have found is the mineral salts, you know, Epsom salts, Himalayan salts, ionic minerals, and clays. You know, those things help to rid the body of these things. But yeah, you know, if the salts can dissolve and destroy parasitic entities. And, you know, we have biowarfare. We've got, you know, everything is being weaponized, including weather and humans. You know, so anybody can be targeted and all of a sudden take a command and turn on you. So the more we call this out, the more our frequency will be higher and stronger than these low frequency emissions that impact our nervous system. Because the thing is, when we buy into it, we start to connect with the artificial intelligence signals instead of organic ascension. And you know, we don't have to fight this stuff. We simply need to stay in our heart center and band together. And there's nothing we can't accomplish when we do that. But if we don't understand the game being played, we're going to stay in an entangled matrix, no matter how awake and conscious we think we are, you know? So it starts with the self. It starts with healing partnerships and, you know, making choices that are healthy and giving yourself that love. That's been the hardest thing for me. That's one of the great targets they have on me is, you know, destroying, you know, just destruction, you know, destroying myself. And I get it. And I get the things they plug into, you know, and I get a lot of great clients, you know, matching pictures and I, you know, hear a lot of very similar stories. And, you know, it's not about the good and the bad. It's about, you know, integration and being alchemists and understanding, you know, the alchemy in us has been targeted. The dodecahedron sacred geometries have been targeted or distorted. They have scrambled the fire codes and DNA information. There's negative technologies that have been put into the earth 26,000 years ago to make the earth grids infected. That's why there's dark rituals on the power centers. And in turn, that impacts our DNA and keeps our DNA from being able to upgrade. And we've got, you know, all sorts of psychic attacks and all sorts of things put in our DNA so that we can't go past the 7th chakra. And past the 7th chakra, we start to move into the Hieros Gamos and sacred union. And, you know, and so what I really like to say to people is, you know, we're in this greater love story. You have to divorce the imposters. You have to recognize who they are and start to move into true love. Not only will you upgrade your DNA and improve your health, you will activate others. And you will help this planetary body move into the higher earth energies. And the thing is, she's there waiting. You know, we don't have to save the planet. We need to just get out of this duality, corruption, contamination, and toxicity. And we can do that when we take a stand and do the inner work. And we have the humility to know when to self-correct. And we have the confidence in our own spirit body to know that we can make magic happen and create miracles.
God bless the women.
Isn't it?
I gotta say, you know, when I wrote Alfred, I was like, okay, who could possibly be dealing with garbage at the level I am? I doubt anybody. And then I went, oh, wait a minute, there's Kim, who's been through ridiculousness. And Niara, who, my dearest friend is Jocelyn, who did your regression, and she says you absolutely were on the moon and had horrific things done. I mean, I hear these stories. I had none of this. And then Laura, she is asked to speak at every single event, but I worry when there's a certain element there which is taking over the UFO field, funding and sponsoring a lot of these events, and it's taking the frequency down to well, we don't want it to be. We only have a few UFO events left, and they're being sponsored by people that don't have our best interest in mind. And
well,
these people are so.
We have to bust that stuff and call it out. I am, you know, invited to speak at a lot of events. There are a lot of hidden agents. And the thing is, they might be using me for my name, but guess what? They mess with the wrong woman. They're not going to get away with it. I carry this name to expose truth and to help the human race. And it doesn't work with the frequency of exploitation or taking advantage. And so anybody who holds that towards me is not going to get very far.
Well, I hold a name that some people without knowing me might hold against me and think I'm Stephen Greer's granddaughter or great-granddaughter, and I'm not. I just need to clarify, he's not my grandfather, and I'm not his ex-wife, or I would have been highly funded for my films, and the corporations hiding my films would have never had the nerve to do this to me because his boys carry weapons. But the thing that's upgraded about myself is that all of the famous people, in my opinion, that are at every event, and their face always has to be on every poster, I think a lot of them were gifted by Uncle Lawrence Rockefeller years ago and given a promise that as long as they continue, what's the word, lying for money, that they'll get, you know, their face on every poster. So a lot of these events that Laura and I and Kim are invited to speak at, we have to tolerate the fact that all the big main players are people that we know are not telling the truth. So it's an interesting thing for me. I've been holding my camera on a lot of people since 2008, 2007 really. And because I'm one of these women here today, we're so intuitive that it's like, you are so stupid to mess with us. You just won't win. And I think that that's why they're messing with us, is because wise women, truly, wise women scare insecure men. And we're not dealing with good men here. We're not dealing with secure men, and we're certainly not dealing with any men with 2 real balls. So sorry, I love men, but grow up and stop being scared of intelligent women. You know, when intelligence is something that scares people, then what you're looking at is somebody that's just not secure about themselves. I'm not sure why all 3 distributors have intentionally hidden my films, but to not be able to get the last of the shit off my shoe still, with the last of them that just won't let go. it keeps me in this dance of having to check Amazon, having to check, oh wait, Vimeo ended, you know, but they leave such an obvious footprint. And as a documentary filmmaker, I have at least 400 screenshots of physical evidence. These people aren't scared of anything. And it's the people that are pumping out so much fake material. I mean, they have so much money to send out these idiots that are lying to the world. But as long as they keep rolling the shows and pumping the promo, there are still intelligent people believing these stories that are so beyond untrue. And that's what keeps the UFO field unconscious, is the fact that the big money is still throwing out the liars. And as long as the liars get all the PR and the radio shows and the TV shows and all this, then the world will stay asleep with ufology. So here we are.
When I was in my accident and my car was totaled, I was on a road where there was only a few places I could spin out and get away with it. The rest was pretty much a drop-off cliff. And I sat in the car with the cop who was just dumbfounded. He was in awe. He was just like, he couldn't believe that, like, I not only was okay, but that my car hadn't gone off the cliff. And here's a cop, right? You know, who's a part of the system. And I'm like, we're just connecting on a soul level. You know, we're waiting for the tow truck to come and we're listening to music and he's just, you know, just talking to me, and it's pouring rain and it's dark and my car's totaled. And the thing is, while I was spinning, I was just like, I thought to myself, oh, it's them. And I said, even if I, you know, don't make it, I felt a peace in my heart. And I just, and what's funny is I almost feel like we're all like, we've already died. And we're very in our multidimensional body. And that these have been opportunities to bust through certain layers. And again, just to complement what you were saying, and to touch upon what I was saying earlier, they've created the very thing that's stopping them, but they never were going to be able to win anyway, because the very seed that they were created with is unconditional love.
And they were created by women. Hate us or not, they were created by women. They didn't come out some guy's something. Yeah, I mean, I know who I'm dealing with. And when I look at the low frequency of the activities that they continue to promote, I have to say that, you know, I think that there's a much bigger picture, which all five of us are very aware of, that there are very big stories that have never hit the news about the satanic and the pedophile and the very insecure people, shall we say. And when those arrests get done, I think we're going to have a lot less people doing this to the five of us. I know Alfred's been attacked. I know all of us have been attacked. And when I went looking for other ladies, the only other one I could think of was Cynthia Crawford, but there's not a lot of ladies left in ufology. And the few that are, there's a few wonderful ones, but I think the others are paid. And so, you know, I try and be friendly. I try and welcome everyone. And when people just put up a wall, to me, that's a real gift of them just saying, nope, 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 you're a truth teller, so we're not going to talk to you. And when I just won these 2 new EB awards for Crop Circle Diaries, available on my new website, which I'm praying is not hacked, cropcirclefilms.com. I won 2 awards. All these wonderful people came up and gave me a lot of love, but the speakers didn't. Now that's the first time where I think they got mad at me. They called it a sweep, like I swept the EBs. And there was no competition this year, which has never happened, never. I've always had 10 films that I'm running against, great films. But this year, there was only one, other one than mine for Best Feature Film. All of us were up for People's Choice, and that was 1,000 people voting or 1,500 people voting. So to win that was a true gift. But to have such an easy win on the Best Feature Film at the International UFO Congress said to me that the guy that's been running my work telepathically for 8 movies, Lefty, William Levengood, the real scientist of crop circles, the night I got to the event, And I realized there's just really me and this other girl who, I guess everybody walked out on her film within 20 minutes. The crowd was cleared. That was just too unusual. And I heard him say, because he always does this, I had to make it that easy because of the year you've been through. So I hope all of us can start having an easier time, because we five, including Alfred, have tolerated so much because we tell the truth in a time of universal deceit, which to low-minded people is a revolutionary act because they're scared of getting caught. I promote that when I won my 2 EVs on stage, I did take advantage and I did name names, but I did it in a way that is the new way I am choosing to see the world. So I'm asking all of us to put together in the light and send love and blessings to Monsanto, to the chemtrailers, to Gaiam TV, to UFO TV, to the vaccine programs. I'm not slandering. I am sending love and healing to these entities that are really doing a lot to hurt the world right now. I am sick of what I'm dealing with. I'm sorry to hear what these other women are dealing with, but you can hear in our voices that we are strong freaking women and we are all on the edge of tears. It's too much, too long, too dark, and too shitty. And I'm sick of it. So I am going public, and I am going to take our show to a number of radio shows if the ladies want to do it, because I don't think there's ever been a more important time to tell the truth about this total disregard for intelligent consciousness in women. I mean, without us, you guys wouldn't be here. But stop being scared is my message. Stop being scared of the women, because the more you disrespect women like us, the bigger the mirror is that's going to come back to you. We are relentless. The 5 of us here, we are relentless women, and very, very foolish to choose to hack us any further. So this show is really, in my opinion, bringing us all together, holding up the mirror and saying, we're not leaving. We are not leaving. But the other thing that I want to say to your audience, Alfred, which my first 4 shows were a larger response by far than any coast-to-coast show I've ever done. Alfred has this incredible audience, and I made huge sales, and I had donations, and people were writing letters of gratitude because people really want the truth, and there's not enough of it because the funded liars are just pushed out everywhere, and they're doing all the TV shows. What I saw this year, and I'm sorry to name it, was Ancient Aliens did a special crop circle show. What did they do? They went to England 6 weeks before the season and hired a human crew to make a crop circle. Why don't you do it in Ohio? Why go to England for the accent? I'm sorry. To me, that's an insult, and it's intentional. And when I mentioned it on Coast to Coast, I got called out during the break by their producer. Don't say anything bad about them because we work with them. Oh, really? Gee, didn't know that. I mean, I'm sorry. I really think it's so important right now to start being honest. We got to raise the bar, let the women out of their cages, because we're not going away. And you get all of us this mad, you don't want any of this, because it's about holding up the mirror now. I'm trying to save other researchers from losing their work, because there's no 2 ways unless you're paid to lie. Then you get money. Then you get a show. Then you get a lot of promo. Well, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. So thank you, Alfred, for bringing us on, because I'm so proud of these ladies, but I'm not proud of the people lying. And I'm not proud of these events allowing themselves to be completely taken down by money. The UFO Congress finally turned them down this year, and they said no funding from people that don't resonate. And it was the best event I've been to. Absolutely great. So Kim and I will be speaking at an event in May. And Laura, I saw you on the menu. But it was interesting, I got pulled last week and then put back in. It's like, yeah, not okay. Not okay. And it's because they're still allowing themselves to let entities in that are not working in the best interest. They're very, very scared of the women that tell the truth. And I really commend all of us for showing up today. I wasn't sure if all of you would, but I'm so proud of you. And Laura, you and your blue eyes in a hood, you are so freaking cute. Come on, show us how cute you look in your hood.
Come on, you guys are fine without it.
Okay.
Fred,
All we see.
Alfred,
All right.
Alfred opened the door, and Alfred, I miss him. We haven't been in touch for a while. And Kim and you, oh my gosh, you're my sisters and just my heroes. And this has just been amazing. And I almost didn't make it to this panel. I'm so glad I did. Thank you for having me.
We're glad you made it too, Laura. You take care of yourself, sweetie.
Yeah, very glad to.
Well, I worry about Laura. I think Kim and Niara hold a baseball bat. You don't want to mess with them. I just drive my car.
I'm a veteran, by the way.
You don't want to mess with me, though. But I am very sweet, aren't I? No, not anymore.
Well, I want to say that last year I did get hit with an energy weapon on stage, and I won't say the name of the event, but it was thousands of people watching, and I got hit twice in the heart, and I got off the stage and left. And I said to two different people, one with weapons and the other one that didn't need them, I told you that I was worried. I told you to watch out. And they said, oh, don't worry, we got this. And it was like, no, you don't. I just got hit twice. I left the stage. There's cameras rolling, there's lights. I friggin' left the stage. This is my gig. Go get that thing out of here with his weapons. And it's been an interesting transition because when I went back, they didn't do a thing. But I realized that there were 3 psychic women that had triangulated the man and his weapon. I could not believe when I sat back down on stage that there were 3 psychic women wrapped around him. And I watched one of them glare at him and do this. And I was like, what the hell is she doing? And all of a sudden he whispered to the girl next to him. He started pouring water on his head, and they got up and left. She gave him a migraine. Now, when I got back to my table, I was like, how did you ladies know? The one that was sitting right next to him didn't even know, but she said, I could just feel. And I was like, there has to be a third lady that was triangulating because you guys nailed it. And what all 3 of them were doing without even intentionally knowing they were working as a triad, that they were holding up a mirror, an energetic mirror, and everything that he was sending was reflected back. Now, this is the energy that I need all people to start creating. And this was the punchline for me of the show. And it's going to be, I think, very helpful as we move into this new paradigm, because we are threatening. We who tell the truth, we who actually love and care about the planet are very threatening to those names that I previously mentioned that want to vaccinate us all and see us leave. So, the only way it's going to work is for us to blow the whistle and to not give up and to come out of hiding. And I don't sleep well anymore, but I think it's smart grid. And I don't know anybody that hasn't been seriously sick in the last month. Do you guys? Is everybody sick everywhere in the country?
Everybody.
And Canada?
A lot of people are. I just want to point out that those 3 women that were triangulating their energies on that guy, there was consciousness. 3 of them came together and they made it happen. That's why they don't want the consciousness piece to get out where people can really do something with it.
Well, we are really going to up the game with those triads of psychic women at the next few events, because it is the only way to work together now. I think that the reason I've been targeted is because I did bring forward William Levengood's technology. Not only does it improve the life of plants, but it also heals the human plasma field. The good thing about it is that I saw the machine. I know it worked. And I saw the last read that Lefty did before he died. And he held these rods and it marked his plasma field. And then he put his hands over a third device and something swung over it with magnets, and then came back to the first and the body was cleared. The problem with this technology is that now we know it's in the hands of people with bad intention. So as you're moving the plasma clockwise, it heals the human form. But if you know to do it backward, counterclockwise, you can destroy matter. And I think that that's what these new energy weapon devices are doing. And I think that these people that are harming me, my work, my business, I'm guessing that because they're so into mind control And they're so into all these things because they're so insecure about being in the moment that they might have actually done remote viewing and seen that Penny Kelly and I were going to bring this information forward. And perhaps they're the ones, one of the many, using stolen technology and perhaps doing it counterclockwise. And this is why I've been so worried about the people in the UFO field. They're not getting who's their friend and who isn't. And if the leaders of ufology are not realizing who they're dealing with, then they are going to be wiped. And I'm watching a lot of people get wiped. And there are people that I talked to a year ago that are not the same person today. And I'm one of the few that knows why. And I keep warning people, don't go there, don't do this. You can't trust them. And then they come out of it and they're not the same. So all we can do is put in the best we can to protect.
Thank you, Patty, for saying that. Oh my gosh. Not knowing who's who. I wanted to say something because, you know, being related to a famous name, I get every email under the sun, like I am him, about, you know, all that he might have done or not done or could have done, or all rumors, right? And have really felt through his soul hanging in another dimension with Bali and Thor what it feels like, you know, to be targeted, to be a whistleblower, you know, and to have everything, you know, compromised. So, you know, the Nixons and the Eisenhowers married, Julie and David, my aunt and uncle. Nixon, that's a big conspiracy too right there. I mean, seriously, Hillary Clinton, and we're picking on Nixon. So, and then Kennedy gets assassinated. So, it's just endless. And so I don't like to smear anybody unless beyond a reasonable doubt. I know that harm, you know, is being done. Some people, you know, signed up for it with their free will. And I, you know, don't want to create assumptions because I'm human and I have filters. So the best, you know, we can do is to empower that individual to be able to see the difference between what's benevolent and what isn't. And what it comes down to is does it support you being sovereign? Does it allow you to find your way with that added support and comfort and love? And there's tons of agendas. There's numerous agendas. So, you know, we don't want to all be at a war, you know, in this truth movement. I just encourage everybody to find their heart and their truth. And remember, sometimes there are training wheels. Yes, sometimes, you know, it's about listening to somebody for a little while, but even if the person isn't an agent, you got to go back to yourself. It's not about the old paradigm and putting people on pedestals and looking to the external, or being at war with whose information is correct. We got to come together in a more unified and responsible way.
Yes.
Can I make a little comment here?
Please, yeah.
So, you know, thanks for all the time to whine and complain and do something I'll probably never have the opportunity to do again. It's been great. Girls' night with Alfred. But I too, like all of us, are extremely spiritual beings. And, you know, the dichotomy here and the yin and yang of it is you hear us complain, you see the hell we've gone through. And a lot of people say, well, you know, you brought that into your reality. Well, maybe we did, maybe we didn't. But, you know, there's so many different aspects to the spiritual part of it and how it all works together. But Niara mentioned Bashar, and Bashar is probably one of my best friends. And back in the day when I was being abducted continually 2 or 3 times a week by ETs and military, I got to the point where I was so suicidal. I couldn't function in the world whatsoever. And I couldn't kill myself because I know that the ETs are extra dimensional. And I know as soon as I'm out of my body, somebody's going to grab me, right? Because it's such a full universe. So I was afraid to live. I was afraid to die. And I called my best friend, you know, Daryl Anka, who's the channels Bashar, and I said, Daryl, you have to come and help me. And when a friend does something for a living, you don't call them. And I would never call Daryl for his channeling abilities because he's my best friend, and that's what he did for a living. So the fact that I called him and said, you have to come and help me, he was in his car immediately. And he was in LA and I was in Channel Islands, about an hour north. He got there in 30 minutes. And when he walked into my house, he said, what is it? And I said, I can't live and I can't die. I said, I'm in this, hell, and I don't know what to do. So he said, let's try something. And he set me down in a chair, and we were facing each other in these two chairs that were the same level, and our knees were touching. And I'm an advocate of channeling. I channel my whole life, and any of us who have had any kind of contact, we know channeling is just telepathic communication from other realms. It's just real easy stuff. So Daryl goes into trance, and he brings Bashar through. And Bashar gave me a mantra, very, very simple mantra. It lasts about 15 minutes. While he was giving me the mantra, this huge surge of energy went through Daryl's body, through his knees, into my knees, through my body, up and down. And I was actually, I know this sounds real new agey and all that stuff, but this is the absolute truth. I was vibrating at a different level. I was a different human being. So Bashar said, I don't know if this is going to help. We're just going to try. You do this 15 minutes every day and see what happens. It might not help at all. It could help. So I said, I would stand, I would eat pizza upside down and a vacuum cleaner. I would do anything to help make these abductions go away. So when Daryl finished channeling Bashar, we walked to the beach, and I was still vibrating. I'm just zzz, and Daryl was zzz, and we were like, wow, that was incredible. What was it? And he said, I don't know, but I feel like a different human being too. And we were very familiar with the term sliding and all those terms. But I started doing the mantra. So I did the mantra for about 3 or 4 nights. First time in a decade that I didn't have an abduction attempt. And I thought, oh my God, I'm cured. So I stopped doing the mantra. 2 nights later, guess who shows up in my bedroom? So this little gray entity, and I said, no, you go away. And I started doing my mantra, and he went away. So I figured, well, maybe I might have to do this every day for the rest of my life, like Bashar suggested. So I did the mantra for 3 months. No abductions, no grays, no mantis, nobody around. I was lonely. What a great loneliness that was. So while I am, going through this period, after 3 months, I thought, I'm cured. I'm absolutely cured. So I stopped doing the mantra. About a month later, guess who shows up in my bedroom? So it took me 5 years of doing this mantra every night before I was actually able to quit for good. And one day I said, well, I'm going to try it now. It's been 5 years. I'm going to try. It took 5 years to embed that frequency into me so that it was permanent. And what happened was and it was funny because I never asked him what he did or why it worked until 5 years later, or maybe even more years than that. And I finally went to Bashar and I said, Bashar, what did you do? Why did it work? And he said, I raised your vibration so that they couldn't find you. You raised above their reality. You were no longer in their reality. Couldn't find me. Different vibration. Whatever the terms are. That's the way I have dealt with all of this stuff. I understand, and I want to find a new language, and I've been talking with a girlfriend about, because our language is getting so dead in ufology and the New Age world, because the words are used over and over and over again. They lose their potency. And for me, when I hear frequency, vibration, I'm dull to it. But until I write the new book, which I'm going to try to do, my frequency, my vibration raised, I became invisible. And that's what I would like all of us to try to do with them that we believe are attacking us. Because, the truth is, it's our reality. We do create our own reality. And I've gotten to the point after 30 years, I can't fight any longer. there's no fighting. And I don't know who said it, but who said if you want to have an anti-war rally, don't invite me, but if you want to have a peace rally, invite me. So, you know, that law of attraction that you know, let's go rise above them, live our lives to the fullest joy, because joy is the greatest frequency in the universe. So just God bless all you guys. And I truly believe in the word blessing, the idea of blessing and prayer and meditation, and all that is powerful stuff in the universe without getting too goo-goo about it. Bless your enemy, bless all of us. And let's move forward and save what we can of this beautiful planet and our consciousness. And, you know, so that one day we can, you know, you were talking about, you know, I was talking about having contact. Well, we're having contact every moment of every day. She was referring to outright public contact, I believe. So, you know, let's get to the point where we don't have to hide our contact, and that they don't have to hide from us anymore. And that's all about honesty, and it's about truth. And one of the things that I always like to address in my conferences is, if I could change one thing in the world, I would change the fact that we're not telepathic. I would encourage everyone on the planet. We have the capacity, we have the ability, but we're not nurtured to have it grow, or we don't nurture it. So when we get to the point where this planet is telepathic, or even just a minute part of it, because the 100th monkey theory is a few of us get it, the rest of us get it automatically. So I just want to encourage anybody listening, do meditate, do pray, do bless each other, do everything you can to enhance your telepathy. It's natural to us. Guess who's going to call? Guess who's going to show up at your door. You start believing you have telepathy, it grows, it starts working. And when we get to a point on this planet when enough of us are telepathic, we can't lie to each other anymore. You can't hurt each other anymore. You can't plan wars anymore, because we already know what's going to happen. We always do on one level, but when we get to the point where all of us are consciously aware of that, I think that there's so many you know, imagined or real enemies, and we don't know how to fight them. We can only rise above them. So thanks very much, you guys.
I would say that we are probably all of us are already telepathic. We just have been disconnected from how it feels and the operation of it. We don't recognize it anymore because we've been split from it. But I think it's there. It's just sometimes we just need to relearn how to recognize telepathic input and cues.
And one thing I've noticed in my life is I get caught up. I'm striving to make a living. I forget to meditate. I forget about my spirituality. You know, one of the things that another thing people don't know about being a whistleblower is I can't get a job. You know, my name is all in today's world. Every employer does a Google check on their applications, and my name is 280,000 times on Google as Kim Carlsberg, alien abduction, UFOs, government conspiracy, blah blah blah. I've put out thousands of job applications. I never get a call back. I actually, when I started doing these shows in the 90s, I'm digressing here, but I started doing these shows in the 90s, and these reruns pop up all the time. I was fired from a job. One morning, I walked into my job, and somebody had told me that my show had surfaced again the night before, and I looked into my boss's eyes, and I said, "I'm fired, right?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "You saw the show, right?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I just can't have you here." So, it's very difficult. I don't know why I pulled that in at the last moment, but I do know we all get caught up, in the survival. I think that's what it was, just trying to survive. And we forget that really we're letting ourselves get beat up. And if us four women, if we don't take care of ourselves, nobody will.
Yeah.
So,
could I ask you something, Kim?
Sure.
What was it about your program that your boss, who was a woman, you said, yes, "Oh, I can't have you here"? I mean, what's the problem?
Well, at that point in time, I was in the Midwest, in the Bible Belt, and, God bless the Midwest. I've not a lot of people here, but, I was used to, being in California and being in the movie industry and, pretty open-minded people. And when I did these shows, I didn't think 30 years later, 25 years later, they were going to come back to bite me. But people here do not believe, they believe that extraterrestrials are demons. Biblically, they're demons. So, and I've heard so many people say that. Some of my best friends here say that, still believe it. So, that this woman felt that I was participating in dynamic energy, and she couldn't have that in her environment.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a tremendous amount of cultural prejudice and all of this. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I just wanted to, while there's a moment here, it's incredible, the ancestral programming. I do sessions all the time on people, and I look into the chakras and identify implants and cords and things related to the past, whether it's relationships or families, or even areas of land, or star systems. And so it's very interesting, because we have to look at that unconsciousness within ourselves. Why did we just say that or do that? Or why are we allowing somebody to do this or that to us? And the thing is, it's like, if somebody's a Jekyll or Hyde, and me, and I didn't hear the whole show, but Niara, I was just resonating so much. The Jekyll and Hydes. It's like, that is such a common pattern for me. And it's like, were they always like this before me? Or is it that they're targeted the minute they're with me? And they just go ape, like they turn into a fucking loon. I don't know. But the whole point is I'm not making excuses for anybody anymore. We're all targeted. You have to take a deep breath and look at the impact it's having. Look at the unconscious energies that are being played on, and look at, our reaction and our either allowance or, and ask ourselves, are some of these virtues like tolerance and loyalty, does it always serve us? Maybe we have to walk away sometimes, and those are real hard questions, because it brings us back to our spiritual disposition. But the thing is, being sovereign means you recognize you're multidimensional, and you at least understand cosmic laws, natural laws, and at least integrity. But the thing is, there's no excuses anymore, except there's always unconditional love and forgiveness. But come on, everybody. I personally don't care to make excuses for myself, and I'm sure I'm going to fail in my eyes 3 times today. But, there's no excuse to not love myself. And that's what I'm trying to say is, there's no excuse to not give yourself the gift of your own unconditional love, recognizing that that's the true source behind all that we are. And we got to hold that space for each other, and then step up to the plate.
Yeah, I've sworn off relationships for the rest of this lifetime, pretty much, barring a miracle, because I feel like if I get involved with somebody, they're going to get targeted to start causing problems in my life. And, I've seen it happen with other people. And you think that maybe you get together with somebody and it's like this alien love bite, like Eve Morgan's work.
Do I know that one?
Yeah. So, but the thing is I don't think that we're being paired up really with individuals who have had other experiences like ours, and then they put us together and have fun making us make each other crazy. I think that if I was to go out and get involved with somebody here in the community who absolutely had no ties to the field, blah, 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 they would soon find themselves targeted with energy weapons or beam technology of some kind that would get in, and it would probably be there, and then they'd have a stray thought that technology would magnify, and then the problems would begin again. And so, I don't know. I'm walking very carefully right now, and I'm trying to be very aware. And I have to tell you, on Facebook, most of the people that I know as starseeds are the ones with the balanced perspective about what is going on with things politically on the planet and every other way. They have balanced perspectives. It's not like, no, Trump isn't a saint, you know, but let's give him 6 months or a year and see what happens. And I don't like some of what he's doing, but I do like some of other things that he is doing.
It's just a relief. It's a chance for the humanity to catch its breath.
Yes.
We needed to keep Hillary out of office, and the feminist movement is just as much playing on our vulnerabilities and our hopes and dreams as racism was. You know, it's a part of the larger agenda of timelines. Like, oh, let's have a woman run for president. Everybody will vote for Hillary. Well, Hillary's the Illuminati connection.
Yeah.
You know, so it takes strong women to be able to see through that. Yeah, Trump is a moron, kind of, with the stuff he says, but he's a fucking warrior. And he gives us a chance to catch our breath. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think the divide of myself and my family and my best friend of 20 years that hasn't spoken with me because she's so upset that I believe in a world reset, because it seems so unreasonable that, God forbid, we'd be cared for again and have this grand jubilee, which I think is any minute. But I got to stop holding my breath or I'm going to frickin' fall over. On the other hand, I think that the reason my friends quit talking to me is because they all voted for Hillary and went to this march with the pink, I don't want to say even the word, on their head. It's like, do you have any idea what you really just did? Tell me why you went. Enough of the kumbaya, that's really nice, but why did you really go? Was it anti-Trump? Who told you to do that? Was it the Koch brothers? Or was it, you know, I mean, we are so lost right now, but those of us that aren't are being really targeted because that Women's March was one of the greatest misleading false flags I think that's happened yet, aside from the illumined queen almost, God forbid, running America. You know, I mean, what about the ancient Queen of England? How old is she, 642? But the punchline is that this great divide has certainly hit America. And it's also taken the rest of the world away from America because we look about as dumb as a fire hydrant with a sign that says, all dogs come here. You know, it's just waiting to be pissed on because we're so darn stupid right now, listening to all this fake media. And now that we've got all the conscious media being fake also, and the absolute circus BS being pushed into your face, I actually got a call from India asking me if I had my membership yet to the con job on conscious media. And I was like, oh my God, they hired India to call everybody in America? Like, for those that still, you know, had room to be lied to some more, let's join that club and watch their videos that are just like, thumb up your nose. I don't understand why even the smart people in ufology are still falling for the byline of, come here, let's get some money, let's get some more money, we'll make you famous. It's like people aren't realizing that there's a lot more important things now than fame and money. How about integrity in your kids?
Right.
How about bringing the planet back?
Why was it ignored that a naked man fell out of Buckingham Palace and only one day was spent on it on the internet? And yet weeks and weeks and weeks are spent on somebody like Monica Lewinsky. You know, the naked man falls out of Buckingham Palace. That's what these royal shitbags do. You know, and everybody's, oh, Google Earth shows that the side of the building's different. Give me a break. Sorry, I don't mean to yell.
Hey, I'd be yelling if I didn't tell myself to stay calm, because just this morning, I thought I'd waste another couple hours trying to see if there was anybody at Amazon that hadn't been infiltrated in Europe. America's done. Canada's done. Amazon is so infiltrated with hackers now that I don't know if Amazon's getting paid a lot or if they're being destroyed from the inside. I know Vimeo's done. And all of these big things, they have so many infiltrators. I don't know if it's them or if they're just being destroyed, but all of our ability to get important work out, like my 8 movies. Wait, I made 2 more last year. The hacking has been unbelievable on every aspect of my life. I can't even get a package at the United States Post Office. I cannot get a package from UPS at a friend's house. Why? My phone's my computers. So now I have to call from a friend's phone to somebody and say to them, get to somebody else's phone and give me that number to have a conversation. I can't get my movie masters back from another state because not only did they blow up his lab with an EMP last year, but somehow I can't get any masters. Every package, no matter whose phone I use, where I call, where it gets sent, are cut into by the time they get here. We are in a stunning time, and I know that the people messing with me are hopefully any day going to be extremely well exposed and deleted. And it's not like I hold a bitter key. I just really care about the people on the planet and the animals. And every time I open up Facebook, it's so hard to tell what's real, what's a lie. And thank God for Alfred, because he just keeps pounding out the heavy stories.
Well,
the heavy story.
Right. You know, and here, I just wanted to do a note that we're about 10 minutes after the 2-hour point. We can go for another 6 hours, and I'm fine. And so,
everything.
Sorry?
I said I'm ready to cancel the rest of my day.
Great.
I wouldn't mind canceling the rest of my day either, but I'm sitting here and I'm using window light and it's starting to get dark. So
oh, Lord. So I just wanted to get a sense of our virtual room here to see where you wanted to go now from here. I know that I have one question that I'd like to ask everybody.
Yeah.
And that is that I'm getting a sense of almost like a movement being born. I mean, maybe that's my kind of 60-ish orientation.
Well, let me just say something, because I do have a session in about 20 minutes. If nobody minds, I'll answer this real quick.
Yeah.
I think, a movement has been taken advantage of.
Okay.
And we're the movement of the movement. We're the movement that emerged out of the mind control movements, or the targeted movements, or our own movements.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's movement in the right direction. It's moving forward. It's embracing authenticity. Look at snowflakes. They're all unique. There's no two that are alike, but yet it's all the water particles, right? Frozen, So I think the movement is that we recognize the importance of self without losing ourselves to the negative ego constructs. And the thing is, the ego can swing in one of two directions, either arrogant and self-righteous, or insecure and not worthy. We're finding that center point of, I'm here, I'm human, I'm hurting, or here's some gifts and abilities that I'd like to share, or here's my story, or here's my experience, and because we have the balls or willingness to do it, it invites other people to stand in their authenticity, and that ignites that unity consciousness and helps us to recognize that we were here, and this has always been the case. We've always been this all along. We're removing the distractions and the things that have put blinders on, and we're recognizing the magnificence that we've always been, and also the challenges of just choosing to be a human in this density, with the crazy galactic history we have in a free will universe. But our free will right now is our power, and just know that our potential is immense, but we have to stay humble, and we have to stay open and be a co-creator, and recognize that there's other forces at work that can teach us while we can, insert our input, and then we can have a conversation. And that's what relationship is. Everything is relationship, but it has to start with the self. And that's all I wanted to say.
Well, I want to say something about
We all want to
all
say
of ourselves. Okay. But I don't want to forget this one, because we talked about it before the show. We are 4 women who have been financially stripped of all of the incredible income that we deserved. And I say in the
financially, emotionally, socially, every aspect of our being has been stripped, affecting every other aspect of our being. You know, I've been single almost my entire life from the first moment I was, you know, being abducted. That ended that relationship. The ETs, the alien love bite, as Niara brought into the conversation, our relationships and our sexuality have been absolutely altered and manipulated by the ETs. Our trust to any race, any, you know, organization, our trust to the world, to our governments have done this to us. Who can we trust? We can't trust anybody. I cannot trust anyone in a relationship, any organization, anybody. So my trust has been stripped. So we're stripped, naked, alone, beat up, but in the same conversation, in this 2 hours, I have seen all of us. Well, I didn't cry. I was crying inside a couple times, but all of us brought to tears and admitted our weaknesses and our fears and how much we've been betrayed. And at the same time, we're the elders of the tribe, and we, you know, not to, you know, be cliche, but we are strong women. So we can cry, but that does not negate the power that we have, because we have been through hell. We have been warriors, and we continue with the fight. Although I, you know, don't like, I'm a pacifist, don't like engaging in fighting. But yeah, the truth is we are really, really powerful at this point in our lives, and we can, you know, we can head a movement, because like you said, there's not many of us left. And I would like it if we can all like stay connected and stay engaged. But like I said, I know how just trying to survive kind of makes that impossible so much. And I was going to say, you know, I've never asked for money before, but I went into my GoDaddy account night before last to put a donation button on kimcarlsberg.com, because I'm, you know, about to be evicted again for the, you know, the 5th year. And at the same moment, I noticed that all of my domain names have been hacked. Something that simple. All my domain names had been changed. And at one point I had about, you know, 5,000 domain names. I've gotten down to about 50. And I called, I don't know if you use names or not, but I called GoDaddy and I said, I want to work on my website, and all of my domain names have like 5 or 6 letters in front of each one and a dot, and the names are all changed. And he said, well, you know, when's the last time you changed your, you know, your password and your this and that and the other? I said, he goes, you need to do it more often. I said, I do it every couple months. And, you know, it's a life, it's a job. You know, I need to get a real job instead of spending my life job following the hacking. But yeah, we've been through it all, and we're all the stronger for it. And none of us are going to quit. And, I'd like to see something a little bit broader come out of this. So
I'd like to see us all stay connected as well. Yeah. And I think that each one of us, including Alfred, has a piece of what we could move forward. You know, I mean, you have the crop circle piece, Patty, and I don't know if you made this connection. I'm imagining you did. But one of the things I noticed about crop circles way years ago, and I wrote it in my book, is that most of them are laid down over big underground water tables. So they're actually imprinting all the water of the planet that gets into our bodies with this higher consciousness.
Good point. Wow.
So, very powerful. So we have that help, that help at that level for the whole population of the planet. But I think that each one of us has a very important piece of this process to keep getting truth out and to not give up. And I know that I can't really encapsulate in the amount of time we have here all the shit and the hell that I went through for the past 3 years. And it's still kind of going on. I'm handling it better. But I tell you, I had an out-of-body experience at around age 33, and it taught me that suicide is not an escape and it's not a way out. And that it's a way to make my journey through the universe as a soul much more difficult. And that is what has kept me in my body, because the suffering that I have been through the last 3 years has been so intense that if not for that belief system and my dogs now, I would have killed myself 10 times over. So that's the strength that I still have, that I have managed to push away those thoughts of whatever. I did live with a death wish for a long time. I thought if this is all life is gonna be, I'm ready to just lay down and give it up right now. I'm not gonna take action on it myself, but I'm ready to go anytime. And now I'm finally getting back to the point where the death wish is fading away. I'm starting to get my energy back. I'm starting to, again, be able to eat again. I mean, my digestion was shutting down to the point that, you know, because I didn't want to be here anymore. And now my digestion is coming back online and everything is coming back and the death wish is going away. And I, you know, I feel the strength coming back. But there was a strength in there that kept me going that whole 3 years, or this whole 3 years. And I don't know what's to come because stuff is still happening. As I found out today, I mean, it's been really something just trying to stay on this call, you know, with the computer going down twice and the tablets doing weird things and the phone doing weird things and the batteries going down really fast. And it's been a challenge just to even stay in this conversation today.
But here we are.
Yeah,
You made it. Well, what I would like to say is that we are 5 people that I think are doing really important work. Nobody would spend $100 grand hacking me if my movies weren't doing something important. I don't think it's Monsanto worried about us saving the seeds. I think it's just to control insecure people that don't want my work getting out for whatever reason is that I tell the truth. So all of us have donation buttons on our website, and all of us would really, really appreciate some support. I am probably out $1 million in $500,000-600,000 making 8 movies, paying for them myself, but 8 years of theft from all the different people that are supposedly promoting and distributing my film. To have 0 income for 8 years from people this bad has cost me losses of probably what would have been a living. So for myself, I had to, the last 2 shows I did with Alfred, I offered a free movie for a month and the hackers just flatlined my website. So usually I do shows with Alfred, people from all over the world, they buy my whole collection in a box for half price. I just nail. So many people get this information because your shows are really beautifully watched and your audience is really smart people. So the last 2 times I got no letters, no sales, because these poor little insecure hackers paid heavily by these bad people that are so scared of women. You know, they made sure that I couldn't make any sales. So I know that all of us have a donation area. Laura does. And I have always been rich my whole life. I worked since I was 7. I was always really successful until I made UFO movies that told the truth. I had no idea the field was this filthy. I haven't met one good person in the industry. I got picked up by a TV producer in Canada, a woman, a farm. She seemed like a female, kind of like Hillary. And I wasted a year and a trip to Europe and 20 grand and $2,000 in editing because I fell for it again. Same people, different head. This time it was a female. And I hate hearing that you guys are, you know, like feel like you'll never date again. But I have to be honest, the last 2 men that I really, really loved, both relationships ended because of my contact. They saw it happen. And they didn't believe it until they saw it happen. Not a word. They were gone. So we do need really mature people if we're going to date. We do need, when I say mature, I mean spiritually, extraterrestrially, multidimensionally mature, because we're not playing, we're not pretending, and we're also not getting funded. Right. So I announced on stage when I just won these 2 major awards at the biggest UFO film festival in the world, I've won 5. I should have income rather than hacking, but I've bothered some really dirty people. So to heck with them, it's about moving forward. I can't do it without some funding. So if the big jubilee doesn't happen, I'm hoping that there will be people watching this show that will care about 4 women and a man who are really doing a lot to make a difference in the world. Everybody seems to give the funding to the famous people that already have enough funding, I assure you. And those famous people, hoard it all. They're not even sharing it with me for the footage they needed. What did I do when I was asked for footage for a major film? Oh, we can't pay you anything. I looked at Source and I said, so what? Seriously, they're not going to pay me. And I had to give it up. It's not mine to hold. So if all of us can stop being so selfish in the field of ufology and just start sharing, and God forbid supporting the women and the important radio shows with real funding, then we don't have to drop out of the game. But if we drop out of the game, the women that are really strong, really hang it in here for all of you, if we have to drop out, I'm just going to say good luck and good riddance, because we are in a time of unbelievable funding going to all the wrong places. But I think that there's another big, big story that we're not being told, especially America, about really great things happening right now behind the scenes. Like, I think we're actually being saved. I think scary guy Trump that everybody wants to hate is actually flushing the big toilet and draining the swamp. I mean, I didn't vote for him. I certainly didn't vote for the Illuminati, but I think that there's things going on that are going to blow our minds. And that's the only thing keeping me from having any grim thoughts or spending more than 2 hours trying to get Amazon back, or any of those things that have just been infiltrated. I choose to see that we are saving the planet. I don't know how I'm the only one positive, but I'm going to hang on to that until my last breath, that there are people that can afford to fund the important people like us, like Alfred, and that we're going to move forward with this. We're not going to just, all of us, just flush and give up, especially Laura. She's got such a voice out there, and they are reaming her. On Facebook, I just see her constantly trying to swim, and she's drowning. She says, I'm drowning. Every time I say anything or I name the culprits, I get a call from my military friend who says, get that off Facebook right now. What are you doing? So I'm like, oh, anyway, yeah.
So Patty, I just wanted to make a comment about relationships and dating. You know, it's what they do is they keep us stripped financially. And when you're stripped financially, you're in no mood to go on a date. How are you going to, you know, afford to contribute to the meal, or, you know, buy a nice dress, or, you know, when you're just trying to stay out of eviction, which I've been in for so long, that's, you know, the prison of poverty is the biggest prison you can put anyone in. And it affects every aspect of your social life. And, you know, I said, I've never asked for money before. I do have a donation button now at kimcarlsberg.com. And if anybody would, you know, I'm sure anybody would enjoy my book, The Art of Close Encounters, if this is, if you're listening to this show. And, you know, it'd be nice if we could absolutely get some funding, because that's how they keep us down. They just keep us broke. And if I had just, and none of us require a lot. You know, we just want enough to keep on going, to keep on keeping on. I don't go out and buy new dresses. I don't, you know, I love your necklace, but I don't need jewelry. They wouldn't see it under my hair anyway. So just the basics of life, like shelter and food, you know, you keep people down that far, there's nothing they can do. So yeah, we could definitely, all of us, use some help and appreciation for what we've been through, what we've done, and what we still hope to do.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I had my car repossessed. You know, it's like you get flagged in the electronic system. I tried to buy a car, and I had to get this horrible predatory loan at 21% interest. And the car itself was a piece of shit. I had to park it after 4 months of having it because it didn't run right. And so they repossessed it, and you know, I mean, at first the house, then the car, and anything. I've been without a car for a month now. And the only reason I have the promise of a car is because I was gifted $1,000 from someone, and they said, try to find an older car that has just some minor problems, buy it and get it fixed up. So that's what I've done. I've gotten a vehicle now that is getting fixed up, but it's taken a month for it to get fixed up because the part that had to be ordered online is taking a really long time through the mail to get here, even though it should have just taken a few days. I mean, every which way I turn, I'm blocked, I'm slowed down, I'm tripped, everything. It's like it's like being bound and gagged. And it pisses me off.
They've even come up with a technical term from that. I mean, from the point of view from the other person, it's called social disruption campaign. Yeah. And so from the point of view of the other system, we are the targets, and then they have manuals for social disruption campaigns. Yeah. I mean, yourself being a veteran, you know, this is military. So they're carrying out military operations against us. You can call it COINTELPRO. They're carrying out military operations against us ever since Jade Helm 15. I'm just speaking up here, but I spent some time studying Jade Helm 15, and I spent some time studying the PPAI, the invading pathogenic sentient artificial intelligence that is part of the stakeholders on the planet. And so many times these disruption campaigns against us are actually managed by an AI. For example, AIs, the sentient AI, is now running geopolitics. You know, like we say, Trump and Putin and everything. It's actually an AI running a lot of the scenarios. So it's graduated up to another level. And, you know, we're starting to get on in time here, but the saving grace, and you've been talking about frequency, is the frequency density shift, that our third density is now moving on to fourth and fifth density. In other words, a rising tide raises all boats. That's what's really saving us, is that we're moving through to higher frequencies. It's the whole system, because we're moving to the end of the Kali Yuga, where it's and into the Satya Yuga, or the Golden Age. So that's what's really doing it, and we're kind of the star seeds that come in and can tell everybody else. So that's the hopeful thing that's coming out, that at the end of it, we realize that we're in higher frequencies, and now we're telling everyone we're in higher frequencies so that they can come up. But the disruption campaigns that we're all feeling are actually social disruption campaigns that are run by AI, by artificial intelligence, by pressing buttons. They're just people in cubicles that press buttons, and they carry out all this stuff. So it's very, it's very impersonal. It's a machine, and it's an AI. And so that, and the AI cannot reach the frequencies of love, the frequencies of unity. And so the more that we project the frequencies of love and unity and live in them and bring into the society, then those social disruption campaigns can't work. And because now, I also would like to state that all three of you are in the United States, and that's the targeted country at this time, in the same way that Russia, the Soviet Union, was targeted in the 90s for this type of thing. Other countries have been targeted. China, at the time of its, Cultural Revolution or whatever. I've lived in targeted countries, Cuba when I was growing up. The United States is targeted right now. So that's why there's this tremendous stuff. I'm right adjacent to the US. Jerry, my wife, drove back yesterday from the US. She was on the Washington side of the border. It was snowing heavily. You could hardly see out of the windside all day while she was going down into Washington, doing her things and coming back. Came up to the border, crossed the border, whew, sunshine. Right at the border, right at the 49th parallel. Shoo! It's a targeted country. It's all HARP. It's all HARP. There's a social tension. It's Trump versus Calexit. Right now, they have Jerry Brown, a Jesuit, and the weather modification started in the 1950s under Governor Pat Brown, his father, with one of the sites being over the Oroville Dam. That's just coming into fruition now. That may blow, who knows when, but they're maneuvering to do Calexit through the Getty Rothschild. You know, it's a Rothschild land grab. So they'll do Calexit, which is to disintegrate and balkanize the US. So it's Calexit versus Trump. And so Trump is a separator, right? And so it's the paradox is that the outcome is the separation of the US, which back when I was a futurist at SII in the 70s, they were saying, yeah, it's going to happen. Boom. So it's being manipulated at that level. The saving grace of that is moving into the new Earth. Maybe third density is toast. We don't know. So I just say, you know, keep that area open and always look at the big picture. I know that it's difficult. I made a conscious decision to move outside of the US because as a futurist, because number one, when I first moved to Canada, I was so targeted. I mean, I just couldn't even live in the US, so I had to move outside. But historically, the US is the targeted country now. So you're experiencing more targeting than other regions are that are right around you. And that account for that, you know, just so that it really is about taking the country back. I mean, they're attempting to make you feel that the world is coming to an end, but that's just artificially inside the US, in my humble opinion. Organizations like CENTCOM, Central Command, are actually the ones that are doing this with military budgets. Anyway, I just wanted to say that. It's just
Maybe Canada.
I did not
Maybe
write a
Canada
book
needs
that's
to build
500.
a wall.
I'm sorry?
Maybe Canada needs to build a big wall and keep us all out.
Oh, no. I mean, here, yeah, and well, we could get into a discussion about all of that, but
Another show.
Yeah, another show. So, I mean, I just wanted to say that the amount of wisdom that has been shared here, wisdom and energy that has been shared here in this program is just overwhelming and awesome. And I really just wanted to share that. And part of the other work that I will be doing are interviews with the inner earth, and that are now coming out into the public, into the surface. And it's also with the women of the inner earth. And so I think it's the women of the surface earth and the women of the inner earth that are a movement that is emerging, that will, you know, be a very, very strong force in helping opening the consciousness that Kim has been talking about, that Niara has been talking about, that Patty talked about, and that Laura talked about. And that I had the privilege of seeing that happen all in one day, because I had to deal with this emergency before this program having to do with a discussion around the whole inner earth in another venue, but it just seems to me that that's such a positive thing. So thank you for really carrying forward, and I really support you and support this coming out and coming forward and emergence, support this emergence, this strong emergence, and we'll do everything to empower it.
I really appreciate you too, Alfred, and I just want people to know that I didn't write a 530-page book that won an award the year after it was published and then disappear from the public because I wanted to disappear. I disappeared from the public because my life was being assaulted. And it was so hard. It was unbelievably hard for so long. And it still isn't clear yet, but the only thing that I'm saying is I'm learning to roll with the punches better, and I'm learning to just take it in stride. And how do you learn to do that? I mean, it took 3 years to learn to take it in stride. Okay, another hit's coming. Okay, dodge, jump over, do this, whatever it has to do, whatever I have to do to get around it and just keep going. That's what I'm doing, because I am not going to do away with myself. Okay, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to do my mission that I came here to do, and it's going to get done one way or another.
And what is your website? And you have a donation button?
Yeah, I don't have a donation button up yet, but I will get one up shortly after this show. My website is facingtheshadowembracingthelight.com, and that's also the name of my book, Facing the Shadow, Embracing the Light, A Journey of Spirit, Retrieval, and Awakening. And it has my experiences in it, and part 2 is the healing journey, and part 3 is awakening, because I wasn't going to drag people through the hell that I went through without giving them the fulfillment as well. All the good things that came from processing the trauma and trying to heal, tremendous good came out of that. And I wanted people to have that with the book as well. So I didn't listen to the people that said, make it 2 books. I wanted everybody to have it all in one book. It was very important. And because one side of the book informs the other side and vice versa, it really had to be all together. So anyway, I hope people will read it, because there's a lot in there about the consciousness piece that I've been talking about. And I will be bringing out more in audio and video to try to educate and inform and get people thinking outside the box, way outside the box.
Can I make a comment?
Please.
Alfred, this is for you. The last 10 minutes, I've just had an aha moment. Thank you for clarifying this for me. I don't know about the others, but the term disruption campaign, I had not heard that before. AI disruption campaign brings a whole new light to everything. These occurrences in my life, I attributed them to, I spoke up, Black Ops got mad, spank Kim, because it has been so just up and down and unpredictable, and periods without and periods with intensity. And I remember back 20 years ago, I went to pay my rent. I was living in Marina Del Rey, and I had to pay my rent with a cashier's check. And, I'm a hand-to-mouth photographer, and I've got all my money in the bank. And the bank, I said, I'd like my cashier's check for my rent, which I did. I knew the teller. She goes, well, Kim, you don't have any money in the bank. And I said, what are you talking about? And she says, well, the IRS came and took all your money out of the bank this morning because of the taxes that you owe them. I never owed the IRS a dime. I had my best friend had a tax business in Marina Del Rey, and she had done my taxes for 5 years, and I had all the records. I never owed a dime, and they took, back then, I think it was $10,000. It was all the money I had in the world. My rent was about $800, I believe, and they left me homeless. They left me homeless. They went after everything I owned. I had to get everything that I owned out of my name. I could never get anything in my name again. They continued to try to take everything that I owned, saying that I owed them money. For 4 years, my accountant sent them a letter every month. You've got the wrong Kim Carlsberg. Here are the records. She does not owe you money. What are you doing? Who are you? Why are you doing this? She stuck by me. 4 years later, I get a letter in the mail, one sentence: you no longer owe us any more money, from the IRS. And now, I wanted to say that when I started doing, I did 4 hypnotic regressions with Yvonne Smith when I first realized I was being abducted. 95% of my experiences were conscious, but a couple were too hard for me to remember. And when I sat with Yvonne, she said, Kim, she goes, in the light of abduction, under the umbrella, once you understand you've been being abducted and this is what it is, things in your life that you thought would never make sense will finally make sense. And you, Alfred, thank you very much, because in this moment, I'm sitting here looking back at all these, I never attributed, I thought it was the IRS. Not until this moment did I think, oh, AI disruption campaign has been going on since I first opened my mouth in 1988. So thank you very much for that.
My battery's about to die.
Okay.
You lose me, oh, bye now.
Okay. Well. Bye, Niara. Love you.
Well, I'm not going, but my battery is about to die.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well,
we are moving up to the 3-hour mark, and so yeah, I'm just wondering, should we do a round of comments? Would that, you know, sort of summary comment?
Farewell, starting with Niara.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, I really appreciate. I'm honored to be here with all these women and with you, Alfred. Thank you so much. And again, my website is facingtheshadowembracingthelight.com, and my book title is also Facing the Light, Facing the Shadow, Embracing the Light, and it's available on Amazon. I know. But you can also get it through my website. There's you know, there are links there to get it. And I just appreciate everyone who is going to listen to this show. And I appreciate all these women. And I'm just really grateful that I've survived the last 3 years and that I'm still here, because it's been really hard. It's been unbelievably, incredibly hard to survive the last 3 years. When I was writing the book, I was on a disability income. But I had this desire inside of me to do something for the world and something for the planet. So I went ahead and did this book from such a vulnerable place financially. And I expected that my book would net me enough to get an RV or a tiny home and be able to live on my income a little bit better. It didn't happen. I have been wiped out completely. My parents are gone. I have no place to turn for money. So donations are very, very important and very critical for me right now to keep going and to take care of my dogs properly. So if you love animals and you donate to me, know that you're supporting my dogs as well. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We love animals.
I love animals with every fiber of my being. I love them so much. And that's why I want to save the planet, because it's not just the people. I love the people too. But I love the animals, and it's just not fair to take them with us if we destroy everything. It's just not fair.
And the trees.
Right, exactly. All the living things, and everything has a level of consciousness, even the stones and the rocks. Everything is alive, just like the Native Americans tell us it is.
Well, on that note, I want to reiterate that you had said something wonderful about crop circles. It's true. 97% of them that we documented are sitting over an aquifer of water. So water is a very important element. So is being on a ley line. Almost 96% of every crop circle is sitting on a ley line. So what we have is an intentional communication in an intentional location where the frequency is correct. And what we have is human ability. If humans are sitting and meditating together and saying, God, Earth, Mother, give me evidence. pleased that this free energy thing is going to work. Bang, the next day there's a crop circle. And I met people that were sitting in a human-made crop circle that they had meditated the day before for that very pattern. They showed me a picture of their device. They showed me a picture of the crop circle. I learned 2 years ago that even the human-made crop circles can be real, because what they are is the earth always spinning up this plasma to give us this information. If ETs are flying over and they need a star map to Venus, they'll speak to the earth and she will throw down the perfect crop circle with them throwing in their coordinates, and the earth listening at all times, because hello, she's alive, she's awake, even though we're fracking her and trying to suck all of her blood out as quick as possible for money, she's still alive. She's only sucking in certain sinkholes, but come on, Mother, you know, once in a while I say, how about Washington? How about those places that don't respect you and don't honor you? You know, the fact that we're losing the war on the oil when we have all this free energy is embarrassing for me as a human in 2017. So I'm going to hang strong. I've had pretty much everything stolen from me, my friends, the respect of my family. You know, but to me, what did I gain? I gained ET contact. I gained a relationship with people that I find more important than 80 others that left me because I believe in contact and a grand jubilee coming. So if there's something wrong with us for being highly intelligent, and that's modesty aside, I think we're highly intelligent, those of us that are staying strong in a field this important at a time when we are being lied to at this level. So, I think that the more I am hacked, the more of these shows I will do. All I'm going to do is hold up the mirror, name them repeatedly, and wish them evolution. So what I did on this show and on stage somewhere else was I put them in the light of, shall we say, love with Monsanto and the vaccinators, because all of them are acting in this extremely low frequency to destroy humanity. Well, the women aren't going to take it, and that's why we are standing strong. And we deserve to be supported with your love, your support letters, your powerful donations, your purchasing of this important work. Kim has a book. Niara has a book. I have 8 movies. I think Laura probably has a book. She also does readings. So it's not like we're asking for handouts. We're asking for you to start supporting the work that's really at a higher frequency so that you can raise yours. We're not here to lie. We're here to bring it. So I really love you ladies for showing up, and Alfred for always saying yes. The next group of shows I'm bringing Alfred is the advanced technology guys. These are men. Ralph Ring with the spaceship, Doug Linden with the free energy paint, Bogdan Magic that nobody's heard about, a guy in Australia who's sketched like thousands, hundreds for sure, of free energy devices for every aspect of ET flight, and nobody will fund him. It's like, they're throwing all the money to Elon Musk and his nice fancy shirt and his fancy car, but what is he doing? I mean, maybe he's doing great things, but there are people with actually the designs. Ralph Ring, he invented the OTC-X1 spaceship. What do? They stole it. They blew up, I mean, they burned everything, and he's back. He's not giving up. So the fourth one is Cyril Effect Generator, which is the Cyril Aerospace people. The last thing I said to him at the end of my convo was, so if you had funding, does your product really work? And it took him a second. He said, oh yeah. So all of us, like what I have, is this product that's going to bring the seeds back. I've seen the machine. I work with a woman who knows how to reinvent it because they already did in the lab. So here we have the most important people with these technologies not being funded. And we've got these funded liars being heavily funded, and they're so damn famous that people are really proud to give money to his movie and his movie, but they're not doing it to the things that really are going to bring the truth. So I'm asking you, and I'm grateful to Alfred and to the other shows that I'm going to be doing with the ladies. I'm going to invite you guys to do it again because every country needs to see what's going on. I think today I have to decide to cancel my Amazon Europe. It's just too infiltrated. I can't get help. I don't want to cancel America. I'll just keep, you know, doing those 3 hours on the phone because I can't give in to all of the theft. But I gave up Vimeo because the first name I saw was the people that I know are doing this to me. So you know, we're in a time warp of real stupidity spiraling and being funded. So if we can just raise that frequency and bring the support, emotional, physical, spiritual, and financial, to people that are actually working this hard to make a difference, that's when things will change. So thank you, Alfred, and thank you, ladies. And thank you, everybody listening to this show for 3 long hours.
It'll be more when it's edited, right?
Yeah. Now, Kim, did you want to say something as a fun?
Well, sure. I'll say goodbye. I'll say
Yeah,
goodbye.
okay.
Thank you, everybody. And this has been, I can't believe it's been 3 hours. It went by so quickly.
Well, it's right now it's 2 hours and 54 minutes.
Oh my goodness. Yes. It's been really, really wonderful. And just a side note here, Patty, speaking of Amazon, I actually have 2 books. Let's not forget the book that started my, what's the term? Disruption campaigns throughout my life, and that was Beyond My Wildest Dreams, my autobiography that I wrote in 1995. So there are a few copies of that left. It's being sold on Amazon for $1,800 as a part of the disruption, but you can get it directly from me at Amazon for, I don't know, $48. I think I have a dozen left, and I do have it now on Kindle. So Beyond My Wildest Dreams, my autobiography on Kindle, and that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. See you again soon, I hope.
Thank you.
And I want to say that you can help all of us that are hacked on Amazon by making comments, writing positive comments on my movies that are $20, but the hackers put them up for $750.64 2 weeks ago. So I've tried to get rid of more than 100 of their fake ads. But what you can do to get us back, I went from page 1 for 9 years to good luck finding me today. So please, as far as Amazon, if you're going to still trust that there's an ounce left of integrity there, search our names and you can find us. And ignore the $1 million price tag ones because they're probably hackers, and find the ones that are $20 movies instead of $750 or $63 for their other ones. And Kim's $1,800. Wow, same kids.
Hey, there you go, 1800s. And probably the best thing to do is just go to our websites. Go to kimcarlsberg.com. There's a link directly to my books on Amazon, so you won't have to go through the shuffle of these whatever. I don't know why they put them at $1,800, or I don't know the story, but I know there's a story behind it.
I can tell you what they're doing because they did 100 on me. And once I spent the numerous hours writing, calling, the ones that they finally deleted are still up. So now I'm all over Europe as currently unavailable. So you can either find me for $4 billion or currently unavailable in 7 countries, including Japan. And the ones that I wrote, the ads that I took a lot of time to write, as I was complaining that they're deleting my data, the man talking to me said, "Oh my God, your data is disappearing while we're on the phone." Yep. So poor Amazon. I don't know if they're getting paid to be destroyed or if they're just being destroyed because somebody wants Amazon gone. But I've warned them enough times, you are so infiltrated, wake up. And the next day that report is deleted.
Yeah.
So my website, pattygreer.net, but it got so hacked that now it's cropcirclefilms.com. And I would love for people to visit cropcirclefilms.com and also find me on Amazon and make beautiful comments on my movies that'll help all of us, if you can make comments, come back to page 1 where we should be living.
Great.
So on page 1 for Crop Circles is a bunch of Crop Circle cartoons for 99 cents from UFO TV. That's what filled page 1 last time I looked.
Thank you. And in the article accompanying our panel, we'll put all of your websites and links prominently so that people can really go there.
Well, if you all can take a look, it used to be, if you could see the writing on the wall, I'm a photographer. I don't know if you all know this, but photography means photo, which is light. Graphy means to write. Photography is to write with light. So photographers look for the lighting, not for the subject. And if you'll notice, not the writing on the wall, the lighting on the wall now tells us that the sun has gone down in Kim Carlsberg's apartment. So we are going to say kisses and love to you all, and I'm going to sign out.
Okay, and with that, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
5% battery left.